This is dedicated to the homies that was down since day one. Welcome to Drop D.
Welcome to Quick Hits, a JFK Assassination News and Notes podcast brought to you by your hosts, Rob Clark and Doug Campbell.
Hey, what is up? What is shaking? What is kicking, guys? Welcome to Quick Hits, a JFK Assassination Research News and Notes podcast. My name is Doug Campbell. I am but 50% of your hosts. Joining me for this episode, as always, my buddy, Big Bad Bob, Mr. Rob Clark of the Lone Gunman Podcast. What's up, homie?
What's up, buddy? Once again, it's a pleasure to be here with you in our lovely home together.
Yes.
It's been a while, and lots of things have happened, but we will get there, we promise.
That's right. Our shared space, as it were, sir. This is a special episode, Rob. It's a milestone. This is the 50th, episode 50 of Quick Hits. What about that?
I know, it's awesome. And we were going to bring you a giant, huge guest.
That's right. And we decided we wanted to book a very special guest for the 50th episode because, it's the big 50, right? So, but that motherfucker ghosted us both and we reached out, he wouldn't answer, so we booked somebody else. We got somebody else for you. Tell us who that is, Rob.
We did. Doug, sorry, hold on. A couple weeks ago, somebody reached out and wanted to relate a story about a young man who almost tragically lost his life.
A near fatal accident, you say?
Yeah. There's a foundation out there that makes wishes come true for young people that may not get to see tomorrow. And this young man's wish was to be a guest on Quick Hits. So you know what, Doug? Today we're going to make it happen. God damn it!
Today we make dreams come true on Quick Hits.
That's right.
Yeah.
So please, everybody, welcome into the show, Mr. Joe Borelli.
Joe Borelli. Welcome.
What's up, Joe?
Hey, how's it going, guys? And thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Hey.
It is true. I almost lost my life in Dallas during Lancer weekend. I was either ran off the road by someone or...
Depending on which day Joe's telling the story. Or
I just fell and I'm an idiot.
Well, welcome to the show, Joe. Momo, say hey to Joe.
Well, if it isn't the daredevil himself.
I am honored to be on the... There's going to be a lot of laughs.
On fire.
Okay. We got a lot to...
I wanted to say I am honored to be on the 50th episode, to be joining Quick Hits, and this has been my favorite podcast in just totally. And
well, thank you very much,
every
Joe.
month. I have my alarm set at 6 a.m. every Sunday, Quick Hits Sunday, and I love it. And
so 3 Sundays a month, you're very disappointed when you wake up.
Right.
Yes.
Sometimes 4.
Sometimes 4, that's right. Well, hey, guys, we got a ton of stuff to get to. Enough of the tomfoolery. You guys ready to get started?
Hell yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Hey, Borelli, you want to do me a favor?
Sure.
Scoot back from the mic just a little bit.
Get it? Scoot.
Oh, I get it.
Oh, Momo, you are on fire today, brother. Hey, he got plenty of sleep last night, guys. Is what happened to our buddy Momo.
Those electric scooters, man, they're dangerous.
They are dangerous.
Very well.
I know. Hey, he got on the thing and he goes, you sure you want to do that? I said, are you sure you want to do that? You know, get on that scooter. And he goes, hey, man, I'm from New York. So I was like, all right, man. All right. But look, what we did, we came up with it. Before we get to the serious stuff, we came up with, if I can find it, I figured Joe needs a nickname, Rob.
Yes.
So, yeah. So we got a list here. All right, and if listeners want to write in and tell us what their favorite is for Joe for the scooter incident, and I'll tell the story real quick. We left a little coffee taco stand, and we went over, and Chuck Ocelli and Mike Swanson and B. Pete came down, and Joe left on the scooter, and, like, I was standing there, and I saw this thing go by me, like this flash go by me, whoosh. I was like, what the fuck is that? And I turned around and looked, and Joe's, like, fast walking into the hotel on foot. And Swanson must have, Mike, I guess he saw a look on my face. He was like, what's wrong? And I said, well, Joe just left here on a scooter like 30 seconds ago. And Swanson says, yeah? I said, well, he just got back on foot. And B. Pete looked down around the corner down the road. He goes, well, there's a scooter laying in the curb down there. And I'm like, that's it, you know. So how about that?
Yes, I definitely broke the fall on my wrist and elbow and was bleeding and did not have time to replace the Bird scooter and was therefore charged for like 30 minutes on it.
Oh, no.
And had to email them and be like, your stupid scooter
Did you send
injured me.
Did you send him a picture of your arm?
If they don't at least credit me.
Oh. Well, how about Rob? The first name I came up with that day was Wheels Borelli. And then the obvious is
Wheels.
Obvious Scooter Borelli, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There's Bouncy Borelli.
One of my favorites.
It has to rhyme. It has to have like the correct number of syllables.
Joey Skidmark.
Not a huge fan of that one.
Joey Scabs.
Joey Scabs. Joey Sidewalk.
Yeah.
Joey Scabs is a very mafia sounding name.
Yeah.
So
There's
I like that one.
Bouncy Borelli.
But my vote doesn't count.
No, absolutely not. Bouncy Borelli, Scooter Borelli, flat on his belly Borelli. Joey bounces.
Oh.
Here's my personal favorite, Rob. You ready? This is it. This is the one. Joey Handlebars. Is that it? Is that his nickname from now on, Rob? Joey Handlebars?
Oh.
Or which one do you like better, Rob?
Oh man, I like the flat on his belly Borelli, but that's a mouthful.
That's a handful. Yeah, that's like Liberty Lobby. You would never get that one right often.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
But we can make some good T-shirts out of it.
Oh, dude, Rob, you know you're great with art and cut and paste and like funny little Photoshop emblems. You're pretty good at memeing. Man, homie, I think it's all you. For real, I think you can make that happen.
I will work on it, sir.
Think Rob Deerdeck ridiculousness type thing with our buddy Joey Sidewalk over here. Joey Scabs. Yeah. All right.
Joey Scabs.
Joey Scabs.
Joey Curbs.
It was very
Joey
impressive
Curbs.
how the research community outside of the hotel put together these stories so quickly.
Dude.
Maybe within a matter of 5 minutes. Ocelli and everyone else.
Bad news travels quickly.
Figured it out.
Somebody was on a cell phone texting somebody on the 12th floor before you got to your room. I guarantee you. Hey, Joe fell off the fucking scooter. I promise. Not that it was me.
And
if anybody out there has any
I'll say
footage
about
of this, if anybody out there has any footage, send it to quickhitsjfk@gmail.com.
Dude,
Maybe the Lorenzo Hotel has some security footage of that. That would be epic.
That's it, man. The little
some
the last thing I'm going to say
security
about
footage
is this happened an hour before our show was going to start.
Yeah.
So I had to go to the front desk. I'm like, "What bandages do you have? Quick!" Gave me
I need a nurse. Damn it!
This stuff. And then at some point, it might have been Gail, or it might have been you, or someone. It might have been Alex. Actually, he said, "You're bleeding through your shirt."
That was Chuck Ocelli. That was Chuck Ocelli.
Yes,
Yeah, that was Chuck Ocelli because he told the whole story on his show last week.
Yeah,
it must have been bad because he can't see where the shit.
That's how much Joey was bleeding. Chuck saw it from 14 feet away.
Chuck saw it from across the room.
Yet it did not deter me from the Q&A and being present and handing out the relevant documents.
Man, he powered right through that shit, Rob. You'd have been proud of him. He was like radar on man.
I am.
Yeah, for real. Okay, guys, listen.
I am. Word is he did a great job, so yeah.
He did a good job, man. Nobody threw anything at him or anything. So, way to go.
No tomatoes.
Way to go there, Joey Handlebars. We commend you, sir, on your maiden maiden wading into the deep end of the research pool, as it were, sir. Well, hey, guys, we did have our episode outline all finished, but the esteemed Mr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has forced me to call an audible. Special report, guys. Mr. Kennedy has a very important to us. Sorry about Momo. What the fuck, bro? What the fuck? What was that? Sorry, everybody. Momo hasn't had his morning.
Trying to blow out our eardrums, Momo.
No, Momo. What the fuck,
God
dude?
Damn.
He dropped his sandwich. Okay. Give him a pass. He dropped his sandwich. All right, can we go back and try that again, please, sir? Thank you. Mr. Kennedy has, guys, a very, very important to us initiative afoot, and we need to help him get the word out. The following audio is from Mr. Kennedy's YouTube channel, uploaded just last week, guys. Check this out.
Hi, everybody. On November 22nd, 1963, my uncle, President John F. Kennedy, was murdered in broad daylight in Dallas. For 60 years, the United States government has covered up the truth about that assassination, which is one of the reasons that it has lost the public trust. Was it a lone gunman, as the Warren Commission concluded in 1964? Or was there a larger conspiracy, as the House Select Committee on Assassination concluded after reviewing a much larger body of evidence in 1979? I have my own thoughts on that subject, but one thing is for sure, the antidote to conspiracy is transparency. In 1992, Congress mandated the release of all records related to the John F. Kennedy assassination by 2017. Well, that date has come and gone. President Trump refused to release thousands of pages of documents, and so did President Biden. No one seriously believes that any national security secrets are at stake 60 years later. What is so embarrassing that they want to hide? I don't know what those documents will show, but I do believe in transparency, which is the only way to restore trust in our government, the trust that began to erode in 1963. And that's why we're circulating a petition to ask President Biden to keep his promise by releasing all JFK assassination documents as required by the law. I'm asking you to share this video and sign the petition, and then I'll send it to President Biden to give him a chance to level with the American people.
All right, guys. Rob, thoughts?
Amen, brother.
Amen.
And good luck, sir.
You know what? Fucking ate of both of those points. Guys, everybody here, please, if you listen to this, if you see this on Rob's YouTube channel, please go to jfkfiles.kennedy24.com. jfkfiles.kennedy24.com. And you can sign up for the petition. And it requires you to leave an email. It asks for a phone number, but it does not require it. You don't have to leave your phone number to sign it, so you won't be getting, phone texts all day long asking for campaign contributions. But you do.
Yeah, just put your ex-girlfriend's number in there.
Yes. Put your boss's phone number down, or something, Or, hey.
You know what, Doug?
Hey, guys, listen. I have Joe Borelli's phone number. If you email quickhitsjfk@gmail.com, I'll give you Joe's phone number. You can use it when you sign the petition if you don't want him bothering you. But anyway, Rob, thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a good thing he didn't say that once elected president, I'm going to release all of the JFK assassination-related files. And then, God forbid something happened before he got there. But I think it's a shot in the dark. I don't think there's a chance in hell it's going to happen, even come from him. And that's about the only way it's going to happen is if he gets elected president, he can mandate that everything be released. But
yep.
I don't think Biden doesn't even know where he is today.
Yeah, really.
So good luck.
I get it. He's not sure where he's at when he wakes up in the morning, and the other fuckhead, he's not sure whether
JoJo
or not
poo-poo.
He doesn't know if he's going to wake up to another indictment in the morning. So yeah, I guess.
Which way do I get off the stage?
That's the thing about RFK Jr. It's like you say, the only shot of those things. But anyway. We could debate that all day long and all that stuff, but I encourage everybody, please sign the petition. jfkfiles.kennedy24, the word Kennedy, the digits, 24, kennedy24.com. jfkfiles.kennedy24.com. Sign his petition. We are behind this initiative 100%, like Rob says. Way to go.
100%.
So, you guys, I guess we should talk about Lancer a little bit. What a fantastic weekend November in Dallas 2023 was. Man. Joe,
epic.
Yeah, epic. I can't say enough what a great time we had. Met a ton of listeners. Met Dick Russell, met Rex Bradford, Robert Groden, Larry Hancock. I'd never met Larry. You know what it was, man? It was a very educational weekend in Dallas with friends. Man, that was the best part of it, was hanging out with friends. And I got to meet Joe Borelli, old Sidewalk Joe, for the first time. Epic.
Yes, and it was Mr. Doug, who, when I had just checked in, texted me, "Hurry up, you're going to miss Dick Russell. I'm saving a spot for you." And keep in mind, I'm going to Dallas. No one knows who I am. And I know no one. And the amount of love I was shown by people like Doug, Gail Nix Jackson, Mike Swanson, David Boylan, people you've listened to and read for so long, and obviously Larry Hancock as well. It was just Monica Perez, obviously.
Oh man, dude, she's the rock star.
Amazing.
Monica Perez Jimenez, guys, who is Marita Lorenz's daughter, the famous, legendary Marita Lorenz. She was there and did a presentation on her mom. Joe, she was the rock star of the weekend, I think, wasn't she?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
I was holding back tears almost.
Yeah, dude, she had that whole
and
crowd.
I thought it was really interesting. In her Q&A, someone asked her, like, what made you not be recruited by the CIA? Because, as we know, they like to keep a lot of things in the family, right?
Yeah.
With kids and stuff like that. And just hanging out with her, just such a lovely, positive vibe type of person. It made me think, what if she was recruited by the CIA? Like, she would be completely different. But she's a sweetheart, and am grateful.
You know, we have here in the South. Here in the South, we have a saying: that person is cooler than the other side of your pillow, and that's Monica. She's just cool as hell. Proud to call her a friend, absolutely. And
yes, and tell them about our Dealey Plaza trip on Saturday night during golden hour.
Well, you know what? I made 2 trips to Dealey, and I don't know if I told you about this, Rob, but you know, I think our reach with this thing we do is it's probably broader than we think or than we realize. Our first trip I took down to Dealey Plaza, I went with Chuck O'Chelly, his Friday open mic co-host, B. Pete. B. Pete, it's 16 and 9. Is that how he says the thing, or what is it? I think you know. What?
1969.
That guy, yes. Met him.
69, yeah.
Really cool dude. I met all these people for the first time. But met Chuck O'Chelly of the O'Chelly Effect for the first time. But Saturday morning or Friday morning before everything kicked off, before Joe got there, we hopped in B. Pete's car and we went down to Dealey Plaza. Me, Mike Swanson, Chuck, and B. Pete. And I was in Dealey Plaza 20 seconds talking to Mike, bullshitting, and got recognized. I shit you not. No shit, dude. Me and Mike are walking down the hill, man, and this dude spins around, and he points at me, goes, "You're Doug Campbell from the Dallas action." And I didn't even know what the fuck. I didn't know what to say. I looked at Mike. I was like, "Yep, that's me," you know, and but he heard.
Who's that loud redneck in the plaza?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly it. He's like, that accent. And he turned around and.
Yep. That voice is a dead giveaway.
And he saw the Tiger's hat, the white D.
Yep.
And he was like, oh, well, that's Doug Campbell. But his name is Paul Cummings.
And the Woo hoodie?
That was the next day. Yeah, that was Saturday. The Wu-Tang hoodie. But his name is Paul Cummings. I want to give a shout-out to Paul. Awesome dude, Tigers fan from Michigan. Fucking A, he was there. Huge Van Halen fan. Dude had a badass Van Halen hoodie on at Lancer, I think, like the next day. But shout-out to Paul. But I didn't want to go down. I got to give Joe big thumbs up, big thank you, because I went down to Dealey Plaza. Like I say, we went down there Friday morning, and Joe wanted to go. But I'd already been, right? And I was fuck.
I had never been, yeah.
He'd never been. And, you know, I was like, we'll see. And because I'll be honest with you, I was like, man, I'm going to get down there again. I was down there yesterday. But then I realized what presentation was at 6 o'clock. Can't remember. Some YouTube show, America's Unswollen Mold Spores or some shit like that. I don't know. But so Joe talked me into it. And lo and behold, Monica came. So it was like, dude, we were like the three amigos all weekend, kind of, along with Mike and David Boylan. We all kind of hung out together, sat together through the whole thing at the same table and dinner and everything at the banquet. But so I was like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll go down there with you guys once I took a look at the schedule. And it was really cool. And Joe can tell you, we got down there and it seemed like, Joe, there were a lot of people, you know, some people milling about the plaza when we got there. And then we took some pictures, and we went behind the stockade fence, and we were kind of looking at the Lee Bowers Tower, you know?
Yep.
And suddenly there was...
And it became a ghost town.
Dude.
It was like only us three there.
Standing behind the stockade fence literally at sunset, at twilight. Sunset, like the sky's like fucking gold, and there's a train kind of slowly going across the tracks there, across Dealey, with the Texas flag painted on it, and it's sunset. The sky's like golden, you know, and dude, luckily I had the presence of mind to sort of stop and spin around and take it in, you know, that. here I'm standing behind the stockade fence atop the grassy knoll at sunset with the daughter of Marita Lorenz. And I don't know if it gets any cooler than that. Not to exclude you, Joe. It was cool that you were there, too. But you know what I'm saying? Like, wow, how cool is this? You know?
It was even cooler for me to be not only with my first Dealey trip, obviously having, heard there, but also you, who I've listened to probably thousands of hours of your episodes, and this will be my only compliment to you two. I wouldn't be here today researching, making progress, hoping to make progress on this case without both Big Bad Bob and Mr. Doug. And
well,
I was just a listener.
First of all, thank you, and second of all, I see no reason why that should be your only compliment. Just saying.
I know. Yeah. Well, you
keep them coming.
Busted my balls, so I gotta keep it to only like a limited amount.
Get our dicks out of your mouth, Joey. Come on, now.
Come on, Joey elbows.
All right, you'll get maybe a couple more.
But as far as the presentations I saw, it was a lot of fun. I loved.
Oh wait, Doug.
Yeah.
Before you move on, so I was going back through my Dealey Plaza photos, and I took a picture of the Lee Bowers Tower, and you know how we mentioned that like no one was behind the picket fence, no one was in Dealey, but I noticed an unmarked, looks like Chevy type of cop car with no license plate on the front, parked in front of the Lee Bowers Tower. So maybe we weren't alone upon further investigation.
I did not notice that car.
I'll send you the picture.
And if you know the behind the scenes story about that trip, it's disturbing that I didn't see. Wow. That's
all right.
Really
an unmarked
car was next to the. Really, I didn't see that one. I saw the white Honda. There was a white Honda up behind the depository, but let me see.
If you check your texts in about a minute,
all right, I got it. I got it right now. Okay, I remember the Cherokee. I remember the Cherokee, or not? That's not a Cherokee. That's a Ford. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But the tinted windows, no license plate. Were they monitored anywhere else, you think?
I don't know, man. I don't see it. It's a Ford SUV. I don't see anything in the grill, like added lights or anything. No extra whip antennas. It's probably a rental or a civilian car. Jesus, Joe, you're paranoid.
Of course I'm joking, yes. I just thought it was funny that I noticed that after the fact.
But, man, dude, the friends that we met, that we hung with, listeners, holy cow, man, so many listeners. You guys were awesome. What a fantastic weekend that was. The Zeidekers, Kenneth and Gabriella, work their tails off on this thing. Holy crap. Amazing. Deb Conway, she was there the whole weekend. It was a treat meeting Miss Conway. She's the kind of the matriarch of Lancer, I can't say enough about the experience. I know on social media I kind of joked around and cracked on the hotel for, the Oreo cookies were too expensive, but, it's no big deal.
And the Coke Zeros.
Well,
and the bandages.
Yeah, the bandages.
No, but those were free.
Those were free.
Oh.
Wait a minute. You for no good reason got on a scooter and crashed yourself. You got free Band-Aids, and I had to pay $5 for 6 Oreo cookies.
Yes, sir.
I guess I paid for the Band-Aids. You're welcome.
Yeah. It was actually, I just showed them my arm, and I said, I need bandages now.
Help.
They went back there in that little office. They went, "Did you see that dumbass that got on that scooter?"
They probably have the tape, if anyone. So. But
is that the same asshole that had us print off 100 freaking copies this morning?
Yeah. Joe goes down there. We got to tell this story, right? Joe gets this great idea, which is a great idea if you do it prior, right? Now, how many tables were there, Joe?
At least 30.
30 tables.
Maybe 40.
Maybe 40 tables. 30 plus
30
tables. Now, how many exhibits did you need?
So I had 5 pertinent documents that I needed to print out because I had noticed on Friday that if you weren't sitting right in front, it was a little difficult to see some of it. And to get the whole context of our presentation, I emailed the front desk at 6 a.m. in the morning and said, I need 20 copies each of.
Oh, you only printed 20, so you didn't get every table.
I got most of them. I think I got
half of them.
The ones that were not occupied in the back, I didn't bother with.
So, Rob, the way it went was Joe got the idea that he should have exhibits at the table where people could read along. So, hey, how much are copies? Oh, they're free, sir. Great, I'll take 100.
Free bandages, free copies.
Wow,
hey, I was winning.
Wow, and I heard people complaining because they had to pay to park. Dude, you just won all weekend, didn't you?
Yeah, except for one.
Except for that scooter.
Yeah,
that was karma.
Oh, man. Anyway.
But fantastic weekend, and the love I was shown, like, even by Gail Nix Jackson. I had never met this woman. She might have heard my name a couple times. You introduced me, Doug, to her, and she was just so loving, such a nice lady, and just that goes for everyone I met.
Oh, yeah,
Kelly,
man.
Munson, Boylan, and his family were amazing. We sat with them a lot, and it was just amazing. So,
well, I'm ready to go next year. The invite has been extended to us, Rob. We can do a live either one of the 3 podcasts or all 3 through the weekend for the audience if we want. So, I'm ready.
Yeah, that would be epic.
That would be epic. That will be epic. And again, thank you so much, Larry Hancock, Deb Conway, the Zydekers, my buddy Kenneth, his lovely wife Gabriella, and everybody that helped out. Chuck Ocelli emceed it. It was a fantastic time. Next time, if they do it at the Lorenzo, just as long as they put me on the other side of the hotel from the elevators, I'm good. Everything else was okay. But those things are clanky and noisy as hell, man. And I could get off the elevator, take 3 steps to my door. I was right next to them. Ooh, Rob, you don't want to be next to those elevators. I'm telling you. Other than that, it was great.
Nice.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So, anyway, that's all I had. Unless Joe wanted to add anything else about Lancer.
No, that's a good recap of our Lancer experience, I think.
Yeah, except for the douchebaggery on Saturday night.
Oh, boy.
Rob, have we told you this story?
Yes. Yes. I have heard.
Yeah. So, suffice it to say, guys, if you're going to come to something like this and you're going to drink and you can't handle your shit, go to your room. Just go to your fucking room. There was one incident, I guess, all weekend. And I don't know if I even want to talk about it, but I guess, goddamn, it was just so fucking ridiculous. During the banquet, right? There was a YouTube show there. It was the segment the presentation that we skipped, me and Monica and Joe, to go down to Dealey Plaza Saturday. Mm-hmm. But these dudes, man, there was a YouTube show there. I can't even think of the name of it now. The dude with 9 haircuts at the same fucking time. Rob, what is it? America's, what I call it earlier, we'll call it America's unswollen mold spores, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they did the big banquet, right? Everybody kind of changes and gets sort of, a little niced up. Old Joe, he changed his shirt for the third time that day. The first two were because of bleeding, but he put a really nice shirt on for the banquet, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
they had keynote addresses and whatnot. Larry got up and spoke very eloquently, and Rex Bradford got up and spoke, talked about the records and the Mary Farrell Foundation, the lawsuit, that kind of thing. We sat with Rex. He sat at Mr. Bradford, sat at our table for the banquet. Super nice guy. What a thrill it was to meet him because he's fucking smart as hell. And he's a friendly dude, and he's a great guy, and he knows his shit, right? So it was, and he does great work. Pleasure meeting him. But, dude, oh, my God. Now, I am told, I guess it's been verified, that it was one of the co-hosts of the show who, now, Joe, the room is like, it's really long. It's not
rectangular.
Yeah, it's not very like. You could probably. It's probably like 3 tables wide. Those big 6-foot banquet tables,
For sure.
And man, I'm guessing like 10 or 12 deep. Maybe.
Yeah, about that.
About that, and it kind of goes L-shaped in the back portion. And there were tables back there, man. And one of the hosts of this show, hammered, fucking drunk. And as we proceeded through the lineup of keynote speakers at this thing, the louder it got in the very back corner of the hall. Now, Joe and I were with David Boylan and his family and Rex Bradford and Monica, all sitting together during the banquet. And we were kind of up in the front third of the audience, right? So we could hear pretty good. But the people in the back, the more alcohol got consumed back there and the louder these individuals got.
Idiots.
Fuck. The less they could hear. And it was dude, it was like, it was like they were in Cleveland, at a sports bar during a Browns game.
Listening.
No,
they were not. They were not listening whatsoever to anything that was being said.
Like they were in their neighborhood bar during a hockey game or some shit. And it got to the point. All right, if you know anything about Lancer, you know about the research community, you know who Deborah Conway is. Deborah Conway is the matriarch of Lancer Publications, right? And she was giving a speech. She was speaking at the banquet, discussing, her thing was on 3 strong women who made a difference in the Kennedy case, who made a difference in the research to the research community. And they were Lynn Mangan. Rob, you're certainly familiar with that name. Lynn Mangan, Mary Farrell, and Sherry Feaster. And we all, if you've been around this thing again very long, you know who Sherry Feaster is. She authored Enemy of the Truth, a fantastic book. She was a forensics expert, like a CSI expert, like that chick you see on NCIS, Abby. Well, Miss Feaster did that in real life, But she was also Deb Conway's sister, and she passed away a few years ago. And, man, you know how fucked up it was? These dudes are in the back, loud as hell, drinking, like just throwing them the fuck back, man. And Miss Conway is on the stage holding back tears, paying tribute to her late sister, Sherry Feaster. And we got fucking trailer park boys going on in the back of the hall. You know what I'm saying?
We could barely hear her.
Oh my God, man! And we could hear fine. I could, but finally, man, one guy
with the noise from the back,
right.
It was hard for me to hear what she was saying.
But whoever that guy was that told Homely, I think is his name, there was a guy who stood up.
Unsung hero.
Bald gentleman with a very, very natty, cool sport jacket on. I like clothes. I noticed his sport coat. It was very, very stylish. Stood up, man, put his arm straight out, pointed right at him, and told him to shut the fuck up. Very loudly. And you know what? And you know what Chumley and his listeners back there in the corner did, Rob?
What's that?
They shut the fuck up at that point.
Good. As they should.
Calmed the fuck down and acted like adults at that point. They had to be scolded just like a toddler, who wants to dance around in church. Same shit. Only this toddler was bald and intoxicated. That's the difference. So the bald,
lethal combination.
Right, but very cool, skinny, bald gentleman in the awesome sport coat who stood up and told them to shut the fuck up, which was, at this point, it was because it carried on. It carried on into Robert Groden's presentation, and it kept getting louder and louder and louder. And whoever the gentleman was, sir, you are the man. If you come to Lancer next year, I want to buy you breakfast on me. You're the man. So come to Lancer next year. Free breakfast on Doug and Rob.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Rob's going to be like, I'll be there in moral support, buddy. I ain't paying nobody's fucking breakfast.
Easy now.
Easy. Yeah, hold up now. Hold up. All right, guys.
We'll get the big bad Bob there next year.
Yeah, hopefully, because live audience, dude. It's going to be awesome. So, anyway, let's move on, fellas. Topic number 2, Rob. I believe it's about time to hand the floor to you, my good man.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I got 2 things here today for you.
All right.
For your
Lay it on me.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
First thing is from October 10th, 1968, and it's a newspaper article from the Miami Herald, Miami, Florida, right? And it's called Owner of Diary Refuses to Aid Garrison's Probe. Okay. The owner of the only copy of a Miami police intelligence diary on right-wing extremist groups said Wednesday he will not cooperate with New Orleans District Attorney Jim Garrison's probe of the Kennedy assassination. Assistant Florida Attorney General Seymour Gelber, pretty sure a Jewish fella, said Garrison's office had already leaked the identity of one undercover agent, possibly endangering the man's life.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. He said, "That's just what I was afraid might happen," said Gelber, former assistant to Dade State Attorney Richard Gernstein. The diary, which quotes a National States Rights Party member predicting 13 days before the assassination that John F. Kennedy would be shot, was subpoenaed by Garrison's office for delivery Tuesday. Gelber contends the subpoena has no legal force outside of Louisiana and says he will not release the diary to Garrison. Quote, "At the present, I don't care to cooperate at all," Gelber said, blaming his refusal on Garrison's assistant Jim Alcock. "Our only concern is the safety of other agents whose names are in the diary." Alcock earlier revealed that Miami intelligence agents, Joe's favorite guy, Willie Somerset, obtained the assassination prediction from a Georgia member of the right-wing party.
That would be Mr. Milteer, Joseph Milteer.
Yeah, that's who they're talking about.
Yeah.
An old bucket-ass 88, Willie Somerset.
Agent.
Alcock claimed the agent's identity was already known to the public, and he didn't reveal anything. Miami intelligence police still have a tape recording of the conversation in which the unidentified man said or told Somerset that Kennedy would be shot with a high-powered rifle from a tall building. Gelber said the conversation took place in Georgia during a probe of the right-wing activities in the Southeast. The investigation began after the 1962 bombing of the home of Herald editor Don Shoemaker. The Georgia man's prediction was immediately turned over to the FBI and Secret Service. He refused to say whether the diary could help the Garrison probe, but said, I have never seen any information that would lead me to believe that Lee Harvey Oswald did not act alone. Garrison disputes the Warren Commission conclusion that Oswald alone killed Kennedy and is charged that a conspiracy centered in New Orleans plotted the murder. So I just thought that was interesting that this guy is telling Garrison, nope, you can't have the diary. Sorry. About your damn luck.
Protected from on high by the Prince of Darkness. Somerset was more of just an informant, wasn't he, than an agent? He was certainly not an FBI agent, but he was an informant.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, I think I do believe, and a lot of people may disagree with me, I don't think Milteer was guessing. I have heard even people, on our side of the fence say, well, he was probably just guessing, or he may have heard something, but I think he heard something specific, man. I really do. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, he had to.
Yeah.
Those comments are just too eerie, given what this guy's tied to and the people that he's associated with. It's got to be more than just a coincidence, I mean, the timing of everything's 13 days before the assassination, and it'd been interesting to sit this guy down and have a chat with him.
I think it was 2 weekends before the Somerset conversation was recorded, 1 or 2 weekends before. It may have been 2. The Constitution Party of America had their big, it wasn't a big, but the Constitution Party convention happened in Indianapolis. Ultra hard right.
Yeah.
And I looked into this and did an episode about it years ago in the Dallas action. But Walker was there, General Edwin Walker, Leander Perez was there, and so was Guy Bannister, and so was Joseph Milteer.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, man, it was only a week or two after that he told Somerset what he told. And you've got all of these players, Guy Bannister from New Orleans, Leander Perez from Louisiana, and
Walker from Texas,
General Edwin Walker and Joseph Milteer, all in the same fucking building, for a week or 3 days or 4 days or whatever it was. So, and this is total speculation on my part. Total. I have nothing to back this up whatsoever. But I'm thinking Milteer got his information in Indianapolis during that convention.
It's quite possible.
Quite possible.
That makes
quite
sense.
Possible.
Or it was the best guess and in history, or one of them.
Hey, his psychic,
pretty specific guess.
Yeah, his psychic abilities are right up there with Oswald's marksmanship, right?
And Miss Cleo.
Yeah.
Yes. Come on in, let me tell you something.
I know, man.
You're going to be a hit from a high-powered rifle of a whole building, my friend.
I haven't thought about her in years. You know it? Wow. I remember...
Glad to take you back to memory lane, Doug. Come on, sit down, talk to Miss Cleo. Tell me all about it.
Right after 9/11, I knew the world would never be the same because I turned on the TV and Miss Cleo was wearing an NY fire hat. And I was like, okay, there's no turning back now.
Yeah, bitch, yeah. Why didn't you predict that?
Yeah,
all right.
For real. Okay.
All right, second up here, I came across a document. Now, these early documents that are close to the assassination that originate out of New Orleans are fascinating to me. Like the Jack Martin documents, David Ferry documents that, the FBI is interviewing people in New Orleans, a couple days after the assassination goes down and Oswald's killed. So here's another one from November 25th, 1963. And it comes out of New Orleans, and it was an FBI memorandum from Regis Kennedy and Special Agent Claude Schlager. So it starts off here. Carlos Brunier, operator of Casa Roca store at 107 Decatur Street, advised that he is active in anti-Castro Cuban groups in New Orleans. He stated on August 5th he met Lee Oswald when he came into the Casa Roca store and volunteered to assist in anti-Castro Cuban matters. The next day he returned and left a U.S. Marine manual at the store, but he did not meet him then. On August 9th, 1963, Bernier stated he observed Oswald passing out pro-Castro leaflets on Canal Street, and he attempted to talk to him, and this conversation subsequently resulted in a fist fight, which resulted in his arrest and 2 other anti-Castro Cuban friends of his, as well as Lee Oswald. He advised that Oswald appeared at the municipal court and entered a plea of guilty and was sentenced to pay a fine of $10. He stated when he appeared at the municipal court, he took a seat among the Negroes who were present and was not represented by an attorney at all and offered no defense. Subsequent to this arrest, Bernier stated that he arranged for a debate on a local radio station, WDSU, in which they debated the effects of Castro's activities in Cuba. Now, here's where they get to the interesting part here.
All right.
And the first mention of this guy's name at all, which is rarely ever mentioned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bernier advised that he knew of no associates of Oswald. Now, me and Joe have been talking about this on the Lone Gunman Podcast and about this street fight. And we believe there was somebody with Oswald when he was handing out literature and got in this fight with Bernier.
Yeah.
But he wasn't, this person wasn't caught on a home movie, or he was, and he was cut out. By the
now,
FBI.
is this the Hispanic or Cuban looking gentleman that you're referring to?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, one possibility, tell me if this is one of your suspects, is Manuel Garcia Gonzalez Lopez.
No, that is not one of them.
Oh, okay.
There is a short list of people, who this could possibly be.
Could be, yeah, could be.
Yeah. But there was eyewitness testimony that somebody was with Oswald handing out literature, wearing a placard and all that jazz. So he says Bernier advised that he knew of no associates of Oswald, with the possible exception of one Philip Garachi III, who resides in Metairie, Louisiana. He describes this person as a youth about 16 years of age who came into his store a few minutes before Oswald appeared for the first time on August the 5th, 1963, and offered his services to the Cubans who were anti-Castro. And during the time he was in the store, he gained an impression that he might be an associate of Oswald. The only reason he says he possibly is an associate is because they were both in the store at the same time, doing the same thing, offering their help to anti-Castro Cubans.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah. Another individual that might be an associate of Oswald, because he's connected with the New Orleans Committee for Peaceful Alternatives, is Redacted, who lives on Alta Street in Metairie. He stated he met this individual when pro-Castros, pay attention, Joe, pro-Castros were having a rally in Jackson Square. But he did not see Oswald at this rally. Okay. Jackson Square. Yeah, that's in Martin's film.
That is where he horses.
And that's about, 9.5 blocks, according to you guys' research from the site of the famous Hands Off Cuba leaflet fracas?
Yeah.
At least 9-10 blocks down and 3 or 4 blocks up.
I am so glad you guys made a point to point that out in your research and in your recent work, the distance. Because that's, to me, the fact that, the story about the Martin film is that, what the hell's going on here? Spin around and film it. No.
Right.
No. John Martin, who filmed General Edwin Walker's house after somebody tried to kill him, he had to go 9.5 blocks to film Oswald. That's a hell of a walk. You know, that's like walking from the hotel to Dealey Plaza.
Yeah, and before that, it had always been supposed that that Martin heard a commotion and went over to see what was going on and caught this street fight, right?
Right, and what this does to me, it solidifies even more the fact that this is not a coincidence that this man. It's not a coincidence that he taped General Walker's home and Oswald on the same roll. It's not a coincidence, and that's something that that came up, Rob, during the General Walker panel at Lancer as well. And, like I say, your work there just solidifies that. And nobody on the panel thought it was a coincidence either. Everybody on the panel agreed that the film and those circumstances are just even more proof that Walker was aware of Oswald after somebody tried to shoot him. And before somebody killed Kennedy, Walker was aware of Oswald.
Yep. For shizzy.
He was the talk of the community, at least the Cuban one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so on November 29th, 1963, the FBI tracks down this guy, Philip Geraci.
Right.
Geraci viewed a photograph of Lee Harvey Oswald and stated that Oswald was identical to an individual with whom he had a brief conversation lasting about 10 minutes, which took place at the Cuban Student Directorate at 107 Decatur Street in New Orleans. Geraci, age 15, a sophomore at East Jefferson High School in Metairie, advised at the time that he met Oswald at the Casa Roca. He, Geraci, was visiting that place for the first time for the purpose of obtaining information regarding the Cuban Student Directorate, which he had heard was an anti-Castro Cuban organization. Geraci stated he had discussed anti-Castro activities with a Carlos Brunier, who owned the store at 107 Decatur Street, which was the headquarters for the anti-Castro organization known as the CSD. Accompanying Geraci at the time was a friend of his named Vance Blaylock of 5708 Boutow Street in Metairie, Louisiana. While talking with Carlos Brunier, an individual whose photograph Geraci advised was identical to Oswald, came into the store and made an inquiry of Brunier regarding anti-Castro literature. Oswald expressed an interest in learning all about the CSD and indicated a desire to join the organization. Following a brief discussion, its purposes and objectives, Oswald became engaged in another conversation with Geraci and his friend Blaylock. Geraci recalls Oswald mentioning that he had in his possession a Marine guidebook which contained info regarding guerrilla tactics, firearms, and other subjects. Geraci recalls mentioning to Oswald that he, Geraci, had done a little reading regarding guerrilla warfare, after which Oswald informed him that he was familiar with various types of guerrilla tactics. Oswald informed Geraci that he knew enough about explosives to be able to blow up the new bridge which crossed the Mississippi River from New Orleans to Algiers, Louisiana. Oswald also mentioned that he knew how to derail a train, which could easily be accomplished by placing a chain around the railroad tracks and securing it with a lock.
Hold on, I gotta throw back the fuck up. Can you back up to that Oswald blowing bridges things up and read that again, my good man? I heard you, but I would like to hear it again, if I may.
Yes. Oswald informed Geraci that he knew enough about explosives to be able to blow up the new bridge which crossed the Mississippi from New Orleans to Algiers. Oswald also mentioned that he knew how to derail a train by placing a chain around the tracks and securing it with a lock.
Well, now let's go into speculation land a minute, shall we?
Sure. Absolutely.
We have multiple reports of Oswald participating at anti-Castro paramilitary training camps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, for example, Marita Lorenz. Look at the footage that our friend, the lovely Miss Monica, showed on during a presentation. The guy back there that's behind Sturgis, and the guy that looks like Ferry, kind of milling around. I'm not saying that's Oswald, but it looks like him, doesn't it? I mean, the guy looks like Oswald. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it possible that he did get that kind of training somewhere, or he's been around that kind of training if he'd been in those camps? And maybe if he'd been around some people training in that stuff, he might have participated as well, but may have just been around it and thought he knew, But
Or thought he knew from the Marines,
Yeah. But it's not impossible, as what I'm saying, that if some of these reports are true of Oswald at these paramilitary training camps, that he could have picked up some of that training and knowledge at those camps, is what I'm saying, is all.
Right.
Yeah. Nothing to scoff at for sure, because I don't think right now we really know what all that guy was into. But I'm sorry, go ahead. Joe, feel free to chime in there, Elbows.
Yeah, I was just going to think, did Roy Hargrave teach him his explosive experience, and teach him in the methods of creating explosives? That was my thought.
The dark arts of fuckery. Here we go. All right, so the last little item concerning this Philip Geraci that I ran across was, of course, from the time of the Garrison investigation in October of 1968, when Carlos Bernier appeared in the New Orleans office of the FBI on October 10th, 68, and furnished the following information. He advised that he was visited by Diane Tamper on the afternoon of October 9th, 1966. She furnished her address as Post Office Box 1282, Louisiana State University, New Orleans, Louisiana. Turner advised Bernier that she had received a letter from Philip Geraci III approximately 2 weeks ago. Geraci is presently in the United States military stationed in Vietnam. Geraci advised Turner in his letter to transmit a message for him to Carlos Bernier. Geraci advised that he had been contacted by Harold Weisberg, author of the book Whitewash, who has been assisting New Orleans District Attorney Jim Garrison in his investigation of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Geraci did not advise Turner as to what method Weisberg had used in contacting him. Geraci claimed that Weisberg indicated that he, Geraci, was about to be subpoenaed by the New Orleans grand jury through the efforts of D.A. Garrison if he did not state that he had previously been hired by Carlos Bernier and that he, Bernier, and some other Cubans had gone to a training camp for Cubans in the New Orleans area. Weisberg added that if Geraci did not comply with this request, he would be indicted by the New Orleans the Orleans Parish Grand Jury for perjury.
Well, we know that Weisberg was sort of working not for, kind of with Garrison. Him and Billings and who was the other guy, Billings' buddy, the other journalist for life, Miguel Acoca. They were sort of embedded in the Garrison investigation for a while.
Yeah, a bunch of them. And, doing, I would call this underhanded, or trying to strong arm this Geraci fella into possibly saying something that wasn't true under a threat of a perjury charge. You know what I'm saying?
There are indications that may not have been the only time that sort of thing happened also,
Yeah. So Turner further advised Bernier that Geraci's mother had been cooperating with Garrison and had made some type of deal with him. She did not indicate what kind of deal had been made. Turner commented that an agency, which she did not identify, was building a case against Weisberg because he was spreading KGB propaganda in the United States. Turner did not identify this agency to Bernier. This document contains neither recommendations nor conclusions of the FBI. It is the property of the FBI and is located or is loaned to your agency. It and its contents are not to be distributed outside your agency. Copies destroyed on January 10th, 1973. But that's not the end of the story. So Turner added that Garachi is due to arrive in New Orleans shortly as one of the members of his immediate family is very ill. She added she does not know what Garachi plans to do regarding this situation. Bernier advised that he told Turner to write Garachi and tell him to go ahead and testify before the parish grand jury and tell the truth. Bernier stated that he first met Garachi in 1963 when Garachi, who was of high school age, came into his store to inquire what he might do to assist in any anti-Castro activity. Bernier stated that he gave Garachi some material to read and at one time gave him some bonds to sell from which the revenue could be used to support anti-Fidel Castro activities. Bernier stated Garachi did not receive a commission for selling these bonds. It was not actually employed by him. Garachi discontinued the sale of bonds as he claimed he was stopped by an officer not identified who stated he could not sell the bonds without a permit. Bernier related that he saw Garachi on August 5th, 1963 at the Casa Roca store in the company of Oswald. Garachi was again interested in discussing anti-Castro activity and was accompanied by a companion. While Bernier and Garachi and his companion were talking, Lee Harvey Oswald entered the Casa Roca and showed interest in joining the CSD and in obtaining such information as possible concerning this organization's activities. Bernier advised that he excuse himself at this time to make a deposit in the bank and left Garachi, his companion, and Oswald talking in his store. I mean, this is 1963 type stuff. I'm going to go make a deposit in the bank. You guys hang out here.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you run over to the coffee shop and meet your FBI agent handler.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got these 3 white boys over in the store. Bernier added that he has only seen Garachi once since August 5th, and this was at a showing of Vickner Films at the New World Theater on Decatur Street in New Orleans in 66 or 67. Deputy Sheriff Don Bourne of the Juvenile Division, Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, Gretna, Louisiana, advised on May 5th, 68 that Garachi, whose home address was 2201 Green Acres Road, Metairie, Louisiana, in 1965, ran away from home on April the 20th, 1963. Garachi, in fact, was under a psychiatric-type treatment. He affiliated with Cubans who were anti-Fidel Castro in their political outlook. Phil Garachi advised on May 5th, 1965, that the family physician had placed his son on tranquilizers and ordered him to receive psychiatric treatment. He received this treatment at the Tulane University Medical School in New Orleans. Garachi III was to have an appointment with his psychiatrist on April the 20th, 1965, and the day he ran away from home, and may have run away because he thought he might be committed for psychiatric treatment.
This is reminiscent of Oswald in New York City and the Youth House.
Yeah.
What was that doctor's name that treated Oswald, that therapist at the Youth House?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But that's what this puts me in mind of. It's very similar.
And then on May 29th, 1965, Deputy Sheriff Bourne advised that Garachi III had been arrested in Jackson, Mississippi, and released to his parents in Metairie, Louisiana, in order that he be committed privately to an insane asylum. On July 30th, 1965, Garachi III's parents had him privately committed to the state hospital at Mandeville, Louisiana, for treatment. He had been diagnosed with schizophrenia reaction with obsessive compulsive features and with the recommendation for further evaluation and treatment. Garachi III was interviewed by the Bureau on November 29th, which we read, concerning his meeting Lee Harvey Oswald at the Casa Roca on August 5th. Information furnished by Garachi paralleled information regarding this incident as furnished by Carlos Bernier. Garachi stated he and his companion talked to Oswald for 10 to 15 minutes concerning guerrilla tactics, firearms, and other subjects. Garachi stated during this interview that he could not recall Oswald discussing Marxism, communism, or any other political philosophy at this time. Garachi added that he had no further contact with Oswald other than that one incident. And that's the end of the thing. But, I'm just wondering, if they put this kid in a mental institution in 1965 for schizophrenia, but he's in the military in 1966 and 67.
Man, there's more than one parallel, and he's in the company of Oswald. Why have I never heard of this guy, Rob? Have you before this document? It's new to me.
No, yeah, I only found it looking into all this, street fracas Bernier crap. You know what I mean? And I was like, who is this Phil Garachi guy? So I started going down that rabbit hole and found all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well,
that's interesting.
I know our good friend Ted Rubenstein is listening right now. I got to put the call out to Ted. Ted, are you familiar with this individual? If anybody is, it's Ted. Never heard of him before. Let us know, brother. Wow, that's interesting as hell. More than one parallel to Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, another teenage boy interested in anti-Castro activities.
Military background.
Paisan.
Psychiatric type, psychiatric trouble.
Name that sounds like he's in the mafia.
I don't know, man. Very, very interesting, Rob. Thank you for that, brother.
Yes. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, guys. Rob, I think it's about time we took a little break and let everybody hear about the world's most awesome hot sauce. What do you think, buddy?
Yes.
All right.
Silk City, baby.
Silk City, guys. Rob Clark, Doug Campbell, Joey Knuckles. We'll be right back.
Big Bad Bob here with you for Silk City hot sauces. Why Silk City? Because this hot sauce comes to you directly from Paterson, New Jersey, also known as Silk City. These hot sauces are 100% natural, gluten-free, vegan, contain no chemicals, fillers, dyes, or junk. Everything is packed into recyclable glass containers because glass doesn't leach weird flavors into the product. All other hot sauces are sourced in small batches from locally bought fresh peppers. It's all about the pepper, people. I'm telling you. Your boy, Big Bad Bob, loves his food like he loves his women. Hot and spicy, but not so hot you can't eat them. So, if you love yourself some sauce and you're tired of trying to transform your bland meat into something edible, with the tip of a jar, you will transform your life forever. Head over to silkcityhotsauce.com, place an order, and upon checkout, enter the code GUNMAN, that's GUNMAN, for 20% off of your entire order. You won't regret it. Thank me later. Peace.
Hey guys, this is Doug, your humble host, and I want to take a few and tell you about a new book that is a must-have. And that book is In Denial, Secret Wars with Airstrikes and Tanks by our friend, researcher, historian, and author, Larry Hancock from Campania Partners Publishing. His seminal book, Someone Would Have Talked on the Kennedy Assassination, is, as any regular listeners here know, in my top 5 greatest books of all time on the Kennedy assassination. Well, Mr. Larry has spent a couple of decades now researching the history of covert action and covert operations as a means to steer governmental policy. With books like Shadow Warfare, Surprise Attack, Nexus, and Creating Chaos, Mr. Larry has published some of the most sound and logical historical analyses of deniable covert action and the tactics and tools of the national security state available today. And in the year 2020, he continues that trend. New from author Larry Hancock and Campania Partners Publishing is In Denial, Secret Wars with Airstrikes and Tanks. This book, ladies and gentlemen, joins 2 of Larry's previous works, Shadow Warfare, along with author Stu Wexler, and Creating Chaos, to complete a trilogy on covert warfare. The new book by Larry Hancock, In Denial, Larry explores ongoing conduct of official deniable military action for 4 decades during the Cold War and its 21st century resurgence, including the most detailed and exhaustively researched and written operational account of the Bay of Pigs invasion written to date. Yes, that's In Denial, Secret Wars with Airstrikes and Tanks by Larry Hancock from Campania Partner Publishing. Available now at Amazon.com in both Kindle and paperback editions. Also available, at LarryHancock.com. That's Larry-Hancock.com. In Denial, Secret Wars with Airstrikes and Tanks. The new book from Larry Hancock. Buy it, read it, absorb it, and learn from it. All right. And we are back. Welcome back to the second half of Quick Hits number 50. My name is Doug Campbell. With me is Rob Clark and our guest, Joe Borelli. Guys, I want to ask you, there's been kind of big news, a big thing in the mainstream media, kind of, about our thing, conspiracy in the JFK assassination. Guys, have you heard about or have you heard the new podcast series featuring Rob Reiner and Soledad O'Brien that debuted just before the 60th anniversary? Guys?
Yes. It was required homework, and I wish I could have those 4 hours back.
Oh, my goodness.
Goodness. Yes, for the sake of the show, I endured the horse's assery from Meathead, and
okay, I'm interested to hear why. It's called Who Killed JFK from iHeart Podcasts. It features a couple of mainstream figures, noted Hollywood actor and legendary director Rob Reiner, and, of course, the very, very, very lovely and talented Soledad O'Brien that I have always kind of low-key had a crush on because I think she is just adorable. And, you know, Dick Russell's in it, few other people, but now, Rob, I guess we have a decided thumbs down from Mr. Clark, from Mr. Big Bad Bob. Joe, what'd you think of it so far?
Okay, well, it started off a little rough for me. You know, they mentioned Roselli E. Howard Hunt plane trip, and it was very, you could tell, scripted. However, after listening to episodes 3 and 4, I think it did give some good information. I do like Dick Russell. I might not agree on everything Miguel, but he is a great researcher, and Morley was on there as well, and I think it gave people a decent overview, and if that's going to help get some people into this assassination story that has so affected our democracy and the course of history, I think more eyes the better, but I, of course, have some issues. I don't hate it. But I think it has some good information.
I'm kind of where Joe is. I don't hate it. I think there's a lot. There hadn't been very much, Rob, that made me go, it's bullshit. A few things. Like there's a heavy reliance on the story of Tosh Plumlee, alleged former CIA pilot, and his whole, what I consider to be a fairy tale. I don't believe it. His story about flying John Roselli and an abort team into Dallas that day. There was a heavy reliance on him. One other thing, I took a few notes. One other thing is, of course, CIA character George Joannides, whom we've talked about a lot on this podcast and our respective podcasts, but they totally misrepresent, mischaracterize his role in 63. Rob Reiner says, and this is a quote, that Joanides oversaw the special ops program that recruited Oswald. We have no reason to suspect that that's true in any kind of way, no. At all. But I think that, there's a lot of good info in it. The last episode I heard, the Patsy was kind of, I don't know. They tried to link the guy that we actually talked about earlier in the show, the psychiatrist up at the youth house in New York, where Oswald went with MK Ultra and Sidney Gottlieb, which I thought was a hell of a stretch. They tried to put Oswald in MK Ultra. I don't know about that, but let me say this about it, and then we'll unleash Big Bad Bob. It's pretty well done. I am a fan of both of the individuals, the primaries, apart from, their other work, I'll say. And there's a lot of good information in it. There's been some dud factoids and some speculation presented as fact, I think. But overall, it might have that effect like what Joe's talking about, like getting more people interested in the case. And it's certainly from a viewpoint of conspiracy. Rob Reiner has made that perfectly clear. It's not going to be like one of those things like these History Channel things where they kind of tease us that way. In the end, they go, but it was Oswald, kind of deal. But so anyway, that's where I'm at with it. So far, so not bad,
Meh. Here's the deal. All right.
Here we go.
It's another one of these clickbait release around the time of the assassination.
True words. Yeah.
JFK assassination shows, podcasts, whatever you want to call it. And look, when you agree to do things and associate yourself with something like this, like Morley, like Russell, have obviously lent their knowledge to Meathead.
Yeah, but man, look, let me say this. I met Dick Russell and Lancer and shook his hand, and I told him the story about the episode. One of my favorite episodes of the Dallas action had nothing to do with the Kennedy assassination. It was called The Zero Murders. I know you remember that one, Rob, because I remember telling you how excited I was because I just liked it. It had to do with some assassinations in the Cuban exile community in the early 70s, and some of it was based on some of Dick Russell's actual work as a reporter in the 70s for the Miami Herald. But man, dude, Dick Russell will endorse some kooky shit given half the chance, man.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like the Lafitte Datebook thing, like what else?
Croissant.
Huh?
Croissant.
But, the Lafitte Datebook thing, don't get ahead of me, Joe. And what was the other one? Oh, he wrote Jesse Ventura's book, which, for Jesse Ventura, which advocated the Judith Very Baker story. So, yeah, man, he's a good guy, and he's done some good work, but, man, he's latched on to some kooky shit, too, through the years.
Yeah, and now you have somebody who's normally a little bit more careful about that kind of thing, and Jefferson Morley attaching his name to this thing.
Yeah.
And having his theory bastardized.
Well, George Joanides he was not head of the covert ops program that recruited Oswald. That's not how that works. Right. Not even anywhere near the reality. But, Rob, according to a Rob Reiner interview in the Daily Mail UK, they're going to name the 4 shooters by the end of this 12 episode podcast series. They're going to, and one of them is this is what everybody thinks based on what he said in this Daily Mail thing. One of them that he is going to name is Jean-René Swatois.
Yeah.
Is that Swatois and the Sutra, something like that. But as one of the shooters, storied Corsican hitman, and I'm not. I've never been down with that, man. Never been down with that. That's a little bit. I just think the assassination conspiracy was a little more localized than that.
Here's my prediction.
Yeah,
it'll be Jean-Paul Sutre. It'll be James Files. It'll be Mac Wallace and
Lafitte.
Tony Nestor Escudero from the Dow Tech. I don't know that for sure. I'm just speculating here.
I think for sure before this thing's over, we're going to see Mac Wallace as a shooter, which will negate any and all. When I hear Mac Wallace, man, I'm just going to stop listening. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt right now, but if it gets to that, look, I'm just curious. I'm going to use my phone here. I want to see how long these episodes are.
They're only about 35 minutes.
The last one is called The Patsy. All right, this is 32 minutes long, the most recent episode. All right, 32 minutes long. And
5 minutes of ads.
They're going to do, 5 minutes of ads. They're going to do 12 episodes. Rob, Joe, feel free to chime in on this too, but Rob, I got one soundbite of Rob Reiner, with all due respect, that I want to play for you and get your take on. This is Rob Reiner earlier this month, it's December now, isn't it? Yeah. Early last month, November, with Jefferson Morley and Larry Schnapp, okay? This is a very short soundbite, about 20 seconds, Rob. Momo, give me Reiner on Morley, please, sir.
We go through it. We go through it from top to bottom. It's I believe, the most comprehensive and deepest dive that you can make into this, what I call the greatest murder mystery in the history of America.
Mr. Reiner. Mr. Reiner, bro, dude, you ain't even close. I need you to go to a website called Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com. There are 2 archives that contain close to 500 episodes, probably around 1,000 hours now. The first one is the Lone Gunman Podcast. If you want a deep dive, brother, if you want to see what a real deep dive is, the Lone Gunman Podcast, and the other one is the Dallas Action Podcast. Rob, how deep of a dive do you think he's going to take at 12 episodes, 32 minutes long, 5 minutes of commercials, dude? The deepest, most comprehensive dive in podcast form ever done on the JFK assassination, dude. The floor is yours to vent, my friend.
It would probably mirror his human form ability to dive into a swimming pool. I don't even think that Rob Reiner could reach the bottom of a swimming pool if he tried.
Dude, you look, Mr. Reiner, the Lone Gunman Podcast, the Dallas Action presented by Wall Street Window. If you want to see what a deep podcast dive into the JFK assassination actually goddamn looks like, brother, that's where you need to go. You got a long way to go, homie.
And not only that, but to promise to expose the shooters at the end of your 10 episode run of your deep dive into the JFK assassination. Give me a fucking break, dude. Nobody knows who the fuck you are. You were relevant 40 years ago. Okay. Anybody could have done the Soledad O'Brien part. All she does is play the airhead who doesn't know anything and ask.
Hey, easy on Soledad O'Brien, dude. Easy.
I know. Easy. I'm just saying it could have been anybody. It doesn't have to be her.
She's beautiful. She's just cashing that check. You leave her out of this.
She's a name. She's a name. Okay.
I apologize, Miss O'Brien. I apologize on behalf of my co-host.
Okay. I have a question. So this is an unscripted question for both of you guys. As we talk about the shooters and as we speculate on who they might be. Give me a percentage out of 100 of what if Cuban exiles were the shooters.
69%.
95%.
I'm going to say 98. Because good luck convincing anyone else to pull off a mission like that.
And the other 5%, if they were Anglo, they were Cuban exile adjacent.
Right.
Like
Lauren.
And I've always said, only two things can make somebody pull that trigger with the president of the United States in the sights. And that's ideology or a shit pile of money.
Yep.
Okay. And that's it.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah.
And
back to the Who Killed JFK podcast. I mean, dude, I'm seeing a lot of these bullshit clickbait special documentaries coming out around the time of the assassination, special podcasts coming out around the time of the assassination, just try to do a quick money grab from all the suckers out there who lap this shit up on a consistent basis because they know no better. And I don't blame the consumer, but I kind of do because, you know, if you agree to listen to this show, you know, they're getting paid based on ads, okay, whatever. Or you spend $1.99 to watch that new JFK documentary who claims to have solved the case, and you're only adding mud to the waters, you know, and that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I don't claim to have solved it, right? Don't claim to have solved it.
A lot of people have claimed to have solved the JFK assassination already.
Oh my God!
Okay?
Yeah.
Add them to the list, you know.
Like everybody that's ever done a podcast about it except us.
I'll be interested to hear what proof he's got to actually name names. Because Rob Reiner, you better have an ass pile of proof behind you, bud. In order to actually name a name.
I hope it's not like a lot of this shit. Like, you know, well, of course it's proven. Look who said it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that
proof.
Going out there. Like, well, you know, Richard Nixon
proof.
and J. Edgar Hoover were at H.L. Hunt's house. Well, how do you know that? Madeline Brown said it, but where's your proof? Madeline Brown said it. But where's your proof? Well, Barbara Cleland put it in a book. But where's the proof? Well, Ed Tatro talks about it every November. Well, where's your proof? You know, that kind of shit. I hope not.
Fletcher Prouty told me.
Yeah, because Fletcher Prouty told me. Yeah. That shit, the education forum, you know. Well, hey, such and such put it in his book. Yeah, but this document. See, and that's another fucking thing, man. I talked about on the Dallas action. Somebody puts, like Fletcher Prouty says this thing, right? And, well, he said it in 1992. Well, in 2018, we got this document declassified. This document was written in 1961. It says something completely different. Well, fuck that, because such and such put it in a book in 1998. Yeah, but the document was written in 1961. He didn't know it existed in 98. Well, somebody else put it in a book in 2002. Yeah, but he didn't know the document existed either. Doesn't matter. The first guy's still telling the truth. It drives me insane. It drives me absolutely insane how I don't know, man. I'm
just going to be interested to see how it all pans out in the end and what quote unquote proof he's got to actually name names. And I'm sure we can revisit when his little 10 episode run is over with and completed and come back and talk about his conclusions.
Well, let's do that. Well, in the meantime, guys, I'm going to be with. Here's where I'm at. So far, the good information that they're giving out in these little episodes outweighs the questionable or bad information to a good degree for me. And even though it's like you say, Rob, 60th anniversary, cash grab, big franchise, big names kind of thing, hopefully the ratio to true shit and bad speculation stays the way it is. and it will lead people to the real deep dive podcasts on the JFK assassination, right? That's where I'm at with it now.
In a perfect world, yes.
Yeah. So, anyway.
More than likely, it will end with Rob Reiner.
Let's see, 4, 8. Hey, there'll be 8 episodes into it by the time we do another quick hit. So we will revisit it then. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, up next, our special guest. And since we usually try to do this for first-time guests, we give them a theme song for their segment. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joe Borelli.
I am stuck on Band-Aid rag 'cause Band-Aid stuck on me.
I am stuck on Band-Aid 'cause Band-Aid stuck on me.
'Cause they all got tight.
Joey Knuckles. All right.
Joey Band-Aids.
Joey Band-Aid. Joey Band-Aids.
I know. It switches every minute, but I liked Joey, was it Joey Knuckles?
I think Joey Handlebars is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, Joey Handlebars is definitely my favorite so far. I think Rob liked Flat on His Belly Borelli, but it's just a mouthful to say.
Yeah.
Well, it rhymes, so I'll give him that. It does sound good, but
Scrape Belly Borelli.
Okay, so for my quick hit, I want to talk about a little-known town called Shreveport, Louisiana. And before I get into it, I want to ask you both, what do you know about Shreveport, Louisiana off the top of your heads? Not to put you on the spot, but just basic generalizations on and things you know about the town.
Rob?
I know plenty, but I don't want to ruin Joe's surprise.
Yeah, he can't go first. He knows too much.
So, Doug, what do you know about Shreveport, Louisiana, in terms of the assassination-related things?
Not anything, I don't think. I got a buddy named John that lives down there, and I know it's a big LSU town.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Well, obviously, we know that.
I know it sounds hideous from what John says, but what do I know, right?
Yes. Well, I actually want the listeners to pause for about 5 seconds and go to Google Maps and type in Shreveport, Louisiana, and see where it is on a map. And when you do that, you will find that it is the almost halfway point between New Orleans and Dallas. And my attention was brought to this town because as Rob and I were researching a certain Martin, who worked at the Gay 90s Club in Dallas, Texas, the only other Gay 90s club I could find during that time was in Shreveport, Louisiana. What is this? Oh, my God. Did you just draw that?
Yeah.
There's the cover art for this week's episode.
Oh, man.
He's got little X's for eyeballs. Look.
He's
okay.
dead.
So, obviously, I think Doug will remember that General Walker flew from New Orleans to Shreveport on November 22nd, 1963. And,
that's where Walker was at when he was on the phone with the German newspaper.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
About 7, 8, 9 or 10 days. 9 or 10 days before, Marina said, well, Lee tried to shoot General Oswald or General Walker. He's in Shreveport on the phone telling everybody, hey, this guy tried to kill me.
Yes, sir. Yes. And so I was actually going through General Walker's Warren Commission testimony in preparation for this, my quick hit. And I was stunned. I actually didn't know this, but General Walker said to the Warren Commission that the German newspaper called him and that he did not call them.
Yeah,
So,
I think I knew that. I knew that they were looking for him, or they tracked him down.
but how would they know that he was in Shreveport, this small little town in between Dallas and New Orleans? How would they know he was at the which hotel is it? I have it right here.
You know
Maybe
what?
his houseboy told them when they called his house.
I may be able to answer that question, just not right here, because
That's fine.
I
That's
remember I've got some people, and I know Rob may be familiar with the work of Paul Trejo. He wrote a master thesis years ago. I don't know if it was for his master's or his doctorate, some kind of history degree or something, on General Walker, and it's like a 400-page book on General Walker, and it's amazing. And he sent me a PDF of it years ago that is stored on a broken device, an old tablet that no longer connects to Wi-Fi, but I can still read that thing on it. And that's what I studied and read up on for the Walker panel at Lancer. I read some of that. I don't have it with me, but I do remember, Joe, a pretty detailed segment of that deals with that entire episode, like the reporter getting a hold of Walker and that kind of thing. I'm sure we may have listeners that may know the details to that too. I don't have it.
Yeah,
in front of me.
I have some even more eye-popping information about Shreveport, Louisiana that I have pulled up. And, of course, do you guys remember an incident in 1959 where Mr. Jack Ruby was trying to sell Jeeps to Cuba? Guess where those Jeeps were located?
Shreveport, Louisiana.
Correct, sir. And I thought that was very interesting. And this is from Larry Hancock's Tipping Point.
And that was what year? 59 is when that happened.
Yes,
59.
Yes, early 59 is from Lisa Pease's article.
Walker was still in Germany at that point, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But
because
we're talking about Ruby and the Jeep sale to Cuba, because as I'll point out, a lot of these people were playing both sides of the Batista-Castro struggle. So whoever came out on top, they would have, be able to run their casinos and things like that. So this is from Larry Hancock's Tipping Point. Quote, "It appears Ruby at least followed some of Norman Rothman's movements. Rothman spent time in various institutions. Ruby apparently knew where to start looking for Rothman, and on October 3rd, 1963, began making a series of calls to Rothman's wife in Shreveport, Louisiana, to get in touch with him. Now, some people might not know who Norman Rothman was, but he was a member of La Cosa Nostra, and operating out of South Florida. He was a close associate of Santo Traficante Jr., who he was involved in casinos with, much like John Martino in Havana. And in the 1950s, established contact with Castro's 26th of July movement early on, and were willing to sell guns to the rebels and President Batista to maintain a relationship with whoever proved victorious. And then we get into a lot of Italian names and mafia and things like that. So that is a very interesting tidbit on Shreveport, Louisiana. You have Walker staying there for 2 nights, according to his Warren Commission testimony, November 22nd and November 23rd. So he was like, first of all, if you look at the map from New Orleans to Dallas, it's not that far. A flight would take, even at 63, like an hour. But he goes to Shreveport for 2 nights. Why? maybe to establish an alibi to prove he wasn't in Texas.
Yeah, he didn't want to be in Dallas on the 22nd of November.
He did not.
I can assure you that.
Yes, sir. And a couple other tidbits I found. George de Mohrenschildt attended a University of Texas Southern Production Oil Company on 5/30/63, April 30th. I believe that's before he went to Haiti. I haven't cross-checked the dates, but he visited this oil man in his Shreveport office, and that's from Mary Farrell Foundation. There is a story of a William F. Jernigan. I don't know if any relation. Wasn't there a Jernigan in the TSBD?
No, there's a Carol Jernigan, who was an attorney who overheard a conversation allegedly between Oswald and Ruby in the Carousel Club in October of 63.
Got it. Well, this William Jernigan in 1966 was an ordained minister. Again, we have that fake minister connection. Killed his father in Shreveport and was involved in running a gambling house in Shreveport, Louisiana, according to Conspiracy of Death, the book, page 118. And also, I found an FBI document from 1961 to Director FBI from Special Agent in Charge, New Orleans. Subject, Carlos Marcello. Blah, 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 blah. Stated that Marcello is in Shreveport or Shreveport areas, and they're trying to locate him. So it seems to me that there is a lot happening in this very small, off-the-grid town of Shreveport, Louisiana. I theorize it is a meeting place between operatives, between Dallas and New Orleans. It's, if you look at a map, and I hope our listeners have by now, you'll see it's almost the perfect halfway point. It's an out-of-the-way little small town, and not many eyes will be on you at that town. And again, I discovered this while doing some James Herbert Martin research, because that's the only other place where the Gay 90s Club was located that I could find. And I have a picture of it as well. And you have to think that Mr. Walker probably visited that club a couple times. But
probably had his own parking space.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That might be worth a deep dive for like a Lone Gunman or an episode of the Dallas Action, you know. Get some popular, well-known good books on the assassination, hit the index, find Shreveport, Louisiana, see, put together different connections to that town.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
I agree.
But,
I agree.
They had a hell of a safe house network. I've read documents recently on the Mary Farrell documents about safe houses in Panama City and, just right along the coast there, right along I-10, places like, Pensacola, Florida. That was on the old Miami to New Orleans to Dallas highway, which was a busy thoroughfare for the anti-Castro cause, for sure.
Yes, sir. So if you actually pull up Google Maps of Shreveport, there are really only two ways to get from New Orleans to Dallas. And I'm not a Southerner, so I don't know the names of the highways, but one is kind of south looping up, and the other is kind of north looping west. And Shreveport is right on the border of Texas, actually. But I was doing some more digging, and the HSCA, when they were interviewing Mr. McWillie, a known mobster, Ruby associate, asked him, did Jack Ruby travel to Shreveport, Louisiana of course, McWillie being the hardcore gangster he is, not that I know of, his whole testimony is not that I know of, and giving nothing away. And actually, not related to JFK, but the Klan, not of the Wu origins, actually made death threats on Martin Luther King in Shreveport, Louisiana in 1967. And there was also a Minuteman group in Shreveport, Louisiana. So this was, I think, an overlooked town. I'm still doing research on it. Like I said, Rob and I's James Herbert Martin research led us to this town. And because I work in pattern analysis, I kept seeing this name pop up. And when I looked on it on a map and saw it was almost the direct halfway point away from any prying eyes, you know, you're not downtown New Orleans where all the intelligence agencies are next to each other, it would have been the perfect spot to meet, to possibly do some unspeakable things in the 60s. And
Sex.
Yes. It's very interesting that even Carlos Marcello, who let's remember his area was Dallas and New Orleans, right? Traficante was Florida. Apparently hid there. And happy to share that document that I found, but it's very interesting that this little town comes up so much. And I have an eye for like little patterns like this that come up. And Shreveport, the first time I looked into it, it's just come up more and more. And there's a lot of interesting things going on there. And it seems to be the perfect place for non-prying eyes and for operatives to meet. What
yes,
are your
sir.
thoughts?
Another way station on that anti-Castro gun running route for sure. You know, guns, personnel, and things.
And jeeps.
You can bet your bottom dollar that when Thomas Beckham went to Dallas to meet Lawrence Howard, he went through Shreveport to do it. I bet.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've pulled up the map, but it's dead center almost. A little closer to Dallas, but you would have to go through there if you were to take that northern route, which I think is the quickest. And yeah, it's very interesting to me. I tried to bring something that was kind of new and not that focused on, and yeah, very interesting stuff there.
Well, thank you, brother. I may steal that whole thread for a long episode in the Dallas action talking about Shreveport connection. So I may just go home.
As long as you have me on,
I'll credit you for sure. No worries, man. I may just go home, log on the Mary Farrell Foundation and type in Shreveport. You know, you never know what'll pop up, dude. Great idea.
Well,
good topic, Joe.
I did that at 5 a.m. this morning.
Oh, so you prepped ahead of time then?
Yeah.
Last minute Borelli.
No, well, I knew a lot about Shreveport due to our previous research, but I wanted, things like Norman Rothman's, Jack Ruby calling Norman Rothman's wife in Shreveport, which would indicate that he lived in Shreveport in October of '63, I think it was.
Or at least that Ruby knew where to find him,
Well, he was trying to find him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, Rothman, Ruby, they're all the same religion. It makes sense.
Well, didn't Ferry and his buddies go through Shreveport on their way to Texas as well?
Yes, sir. I believe so. Yep.
They would have definitely stopped by that club.
Definitely.
and so, one more thing I had to say. So David, all right, or I might have said it. David Ferry, so that guy that killed his father right? This ordained minister, William Jernigan. David Ferry called his father's phone number on May 25th, 1963. So you have a David Ferry connection to Shreveport, calling this guy's father this ordained minister, in quotes, air quotes. Like it, you have.
He probably needed some counseling.
Like DeMorenshield, it's the newspaper of Shreveport, which is called the Courier, or the Counselor. I'm sorry, Councalor, was located at 228 Oil and Gas Building. I mean, the oil connections, the fake bishop connections, it's a lot. And I thought that was a pretty cool little tidbit there.
Well,
absolutely.
Right. Thank you for that, Joe. Hey, Rob.
Yes, sir.
I know we're going to do emails next. I have something from a listener he would like me to include. I can tack that on at the end if you want me to, man. But
sure,
you're going to enjoy it, trust me. But all right, guys. Well, thank you for that, Mr. Borelli, old Sidewalk Joe. But now it's time to get to our lovely, lovely listeners. I always dance a little on my stool here when I play that.
Yeah, I was bobbing my head too.
I like it.
All right, let me reach down here in my bag and feel around a little bit.
Your sack.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. Oh, there's a sharp corner.
Ooh.
On that envelope.
Oh, easy. It's gonna leave a scab, right, Joe?
All right, boys. We got quite a few in here. I might have a couple paper cuts after this one.
Oh, man.
All right.
Do you need some first aid administered to you?
I might need a Band-Aid from Joe.
Joe.
Well, the Lorenzo has them all, but I do have.
They have none. They have none left. The right. Lorenzo doesn't have a single fucking Band-Aid.
Or printer ink. They're all out of both.
printer ink.
All right. First up from Bill Reed. He was I believe our last email on the last show, and he's here with a follow-up, Doug.
Hello, Mr. Bill. Thank you for listening, buddy. We appreciate it.
Yes. And he says, guys, how have you been? I sent Quick Hits an email with a question on Jack Ruby. I wanted to follow up with some thoughts and views on the subject. I believe Ruby corrected Wade's statement and killed Oswald to hide the gun-running activities. I believe Oswald stumbled into or was actively investigating the gun running. This would possibly answer several questions I've never found an answer to, which include the following. Why did the ATF agent Ellsworth show up at the schoolbook depository? Possible gun running going on in the TSBD? Question mark. Why was Eugene Braden in town? Possibly to purchase weapons for a right-wing militia group? Question mark.
Uh-huh.
What was in the note Oswald left Hosty? Possibly information on the gun-running activities? Question mark. Who tipped off the DPD that Donnell Witter and the guns in his car had guns in his car on November 20th?
Man,
Possibly.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
Bill Reed. Man, what you said just now, that entire episode, there's something there. I don't know what it is, dude, but I did an episode of the Dallas Action that talked about that a couple years ago, and I always meant to look deeper into it, but man, that's can't remember a lot of details, but I think he's right about that. I think there's something. Ruby Oswald and that incident, I don't know, man. It's pretty shady. I agree with him. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, Rob.
All good. Yeah. So who tipped off the DPD about Donnell Witter and the guns in his car? Possibly Oswald? Question mark.
Possibly. Who was the other gunsmith in the mix?
Thomas Eli Davis.
Yes, that guy.
the guy that Ruby said if Davis's name gets mentioned, he was worried about that.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Why did Ruby correct Wade's statement that Oswald belonged to the Free Cuba Committee? Possibly because the Free Cuba Committee had weekend meetings, Joe, at 3126 Harlandale, where Oswald had been spotted visiting, and possibly Ruby was helping them secure weapons.
Well, the Free Cuba Committee was an anti-Castro organization, right?
Yes.
Yes. Totally different than the Fair Play for Cuba Committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
He says, by the way, this same address is where Alpha 66 had held meetings in early 63. And by the way, Joe,
I'll let you do it.
Who owned the house?
Jorge Martin Salazar.
That's right. That's another J. Martin. Jorge.
He probably pronounced it Martin, I bet.
Jorge Martin Salazar.
Yep.
Owned the house there at Harlandale. Who had Ruby kill Oswald? Possibly the group behind selling arms to the right-wing groups, the Anti-Castro groups, the OAS, and anyone else in the market? Question mark. Well, have fun with the presentation coming up. Anyways, stay safe and stay happy. Bill. Thank you, Bill. A lot of great points you brought up there for sure.
Quality email, Bill. Keep them coming, buddy.
Yeah.
And thank you, Mr. Bill. Happy holidays to you, sir.
Yeah. And
Thanks
like Doug said, I think there's something with that Donnell Witter gun running thing with the ATF and Ellsworth and all that as well. What it is, we don't know. You got to throw in the fourth tramp. What was his name? John Elrod. And his testimony.
John Franklin Elrod, yeah.
Yeah. So very interesting stuff there. And
now,
then
there's and it's been a long time since I've studied that thing and trying to you know how it is trying to brush the cobwebs away because we absorb so much information. But I seem to remember reading some research, Bill and Rob and Joe, about something called, was it the Dodd Committee investigating gun running? And some indication or speculation that at least Ruby and possibly Ruby and Oswald were involved in that in some manner. But, Bill, look into that a little bit. But I can't remember.
Well, the Dodd Committee was looking into mail order guns. But
okay.
But they were also being used that way, because they were so cheap through mail order and you could do it anonymously.
Yeah.
Order guns for gun running. You know what I'm saying?
It's very hazy. Very hazy.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But thank you again, Bill.
Yeah. And next up, we have an email from Poof Patch. Poof Patch.
What up, Poof? Been a while.
A good bush from the 70s bikini era.
Love a good bush.
Poof Patch sends us a link, Doug, to a Yahoo article from Rolling Stone entitled JFK's Parkland Doctors Come Forward and Say Oswald Didn't Act Alone. And so it's just an article about how, this year marks the 60th and a number of docu-specials are coming out to revisit that tragic day. And one of them was called JFK, What the Doctor Saw, a documentary featuring previously unreleased footage and the testimony of 7 doctors who were there in the emergency room trying to save the president's life after he was shot.
I meant to watch that for the show, but we were full of content for this one, so I thought maybe we could wait, save it for the next show, or I could talk you into watching it so I wouldn't have to, kind of thing.
Well, you tried to talk me into watching it.
I did, but
I haven't watched it yet either, but we'll check it out.
Medical evidence. I throw up in my mouth.
Yeah. It's not that I didn't want to watch the thing, guys. It's just that I was already prepping several things for the show, and I'm like, well, that'd be something.
And there was a lot of shit coming out around the 60th, as per the usual. Like we said before, between documentaries and docu-series and podcast series, and it's a lot to try to catch up on. But I will say this:
we do good to keep up with each other's shit. We're so busy with it, you know. Yeah, for real.
I'm a month behind on listening to Doug's show, so he still hasn't taken a break yet. Thank God. So I did manage to watch something on National Geographic. I caught it on the Disney Channel. It was, I mentioned it on my show. I can't remember what it's called though. It's like JFK as it happened or something like that, or one day in history or something like that. But anyway, that was really cool because it was kind of it didn't really have a bend to it. You know, there was no supposition as to, you know, did Oswald do it or anything. It was just like following exactly what happened and using like old news footage and found footage and colorized footage and stuff that a lot of stuff never seen before. Yeah. They even had an interview with the guy who was in the crowd when he said, when, you know, at the midnight press conference, when they asked Oswald, you know, you have been charged with the murder of the president. And he says, somebody say what? You know, and he said, you have been charged with the murder of the president. And Oswald gives that look, like the old fuck look, you know, like,
Oh yeah. That look says it all.
It really does. It really does. That realization.
It's like the son of a bitches did it. They got away with it. Yeah.
I think the reporter's name was Bill Mercer, but there's a lot of good interviews with guys that were, you know, lining the halls of the Dallas Police Department and, you know, either running camera or doing live feeds. It was very interesting stuff, and a lot of it was colorized. So if anybody has a chance to check that out, you can find it on Disney Plus in the Nat Geo section. All right. Next up, we have an email from Tim Hugh. I hope I'm saying that right. It says, I really tried. I tried to watch an Oswald Did It two-parter. I listened past the Mannlicher Mauser nor Johnson 30-06 being mentioned as a viable weapon of choice. And when the Bugliosi disciple noted that Ruby wasn't mobbed up at all. And then in parentheses, it says, what the fuck did Jacob Rubenstein do in Chicago other than mob business? I had to go.
What the fuck is that guy smoking? Huh Tim?
Yeah. A large problem in public discourse, not just JFK stuff, is that so many people would rather eat their own dung than admit to being wrong.
Amen.
If that is accurate, no amount of documents or testimony will get a lone nutter to wonder, what if Victoria Adams was right? Or convince an LBJ did it, sort to doodle up a hypothetical, what did LBJ do and when did he do it timeline. I doubt Johnson knew what was happening 2 weeks before, or he'd have laughed off the media blitz in early November. As for a specific question, why does the if Oswald killed Tippit, he had to have killed Kennedy, make any more logical sense than people thinking Vietnam was winnable? Thanks for all you do, Tim. So that's the question out to everybody.
Well, thanks, Tim. Appreciate that, brother. What do you think, Rob?
I think it's a logical fallacy. You know, if Oswald killed Tippit, or if Oswald killed the president, then he had to kill Tippit. If he killed Tippit, then he had to kill the president. Now, is there a correlation here between the two events? I think there is. Is it possible that there isn't any connection between the Tippit murder and the president murder?
The question is, in other words, had President Kennedy not been assassinated, would Tippit have been killed? Were they connected at all?
Well, he's basically saying, you know, if Oswald shot Kennedy, then he had to kill Tippit as well.
Not necessarily.
If he killed Tippit, then he had to kill Kennedy as well, because, you know, this is logical fallacy that these people, lone nutters and stuff, put forth. You know, that's the reasoning.
And they're wrong.
Right.
I personally I don't think it's ever been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that the Tippit murder was in any way, shape, form, or fashion connected to the Kennedy murder at all. It could have been something completely different. I think for all we know, it's still just as possible that was another murder committed in Dallas that day.
Yeah.
It may have had nothing to do with the Kennedy assassination. We can speculate all we want.
Exactly.
But we don't know. We may believe it, but we don't know. And
it could have been very, very bad timing.
It could have been. It could have been, man. It could have been Tippit wandered up on somebody else there was a warrant out on for,
Yeah, or he was poking the wrong hole on 10th Street, and somebody got pissed off.
That's right. It could have been that. But I think it, and I know a lot of people are going to go, well, you're as crazy as that guy that, Tim was talking about. but I'm just saying.
Well, look,
I mean,
Oak Cliff was a very and still is, a very crime-ridden section of Dallas. Even back then, it was considered, the ghetto, the hood,
Yeah, I was told not to go there. I said,
I went there in 2019, and it was sketchy as hell at that Tippit site, man. Like, you're wondering if you're going to make it down to the theater, walking down the street, or it's in a sketchy part of town, for sure. And it was back then as well.
Well, like I say, man, I think for all we know for sure, that I think it's possible the Tippit murder is not connected to the John Kennedy murder at all.
Quite possible.
Quite possible. But thanks. Hey, Tim, thanks for the email, sir. Thank you for listening.
But may I add, it did get the cops riled up to find the killer of a fellow officer as compared to Kennedy, right? That's always been the...
Yeah, well, I mean, the guys that went and found Oswald in the theater, did they think they were looking for a cop killer at that point, or did they think they were going in there looking for the assassin of the president?
Cop killer.
Yeah.
In mind.
Yeah.
Without the Tippit thing happening, I mean, you're looking at the cops have nothing to go on.
I know.
They don't even know where to find Oswald. They don't know where he's living, supposedly. So they don't have a clue about how to find this guy unless the Tippit killing happened. If the Tippit killing never happened, they wouldn't have found him.
See, and that goes along to what like I've always thought that he was meant to Oswald was meant to die that day, right?
Right.
100%.
So if the Tippit killing doesn't happen, they don't catch him in the theater. Oswald actually meets the contact that he went to meet.
Right.
Right. And this whole thing plays out differently.
And there is testimony out there that Jack Ruby was in that theater.
Yes. Yep.
So keep that in mind as well, folks.
Or whoever had the other half of that dollar bill.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Doug, by the way.
Yeah.
I tore a dollar bill in half, and when I was going to first meet you, I was going to give you the other half. But
why?
Just
because he's gay like
that.
It was either that or kiss you on the lips when he saw you. I mean,
man. $1.
Take the dollar. Take the $half
in that hotel.
Well, I was just going to make sure that you were.
Yeah, but in that hotel, in the hotel gift shop, $1 is almost one Oreo cookie.
It's true,
dude. That would have been a hell of a waste. Rob, a pack of Oreos, 6 Oreos, $5.
Highway robbery.
And I paid $20 for 24 Oreos over 36 hours. So
you got to do what you got to do.
I didn't even complain.
All right, next up,
another 3 days, and you know what they've been called? They would have been calling me, Rob.
What's that?
Old monkey butt, because of all the Oreos.
All right, next up, we got another one from Tim who did a back-to-back email, and this one.
Back to back.
That's a pretty impressive recovery time there, Tim.
Yeah. But this one he's making me sing something. So
Wait, what'd you say? Say that again?
He's making me sing something.
Holy sweet wonder fuck.
So he wrote a song. And coincidentally, it's to the tune of Hey Joe, who is joining us here today, of course. But it's called Hey Lee. And I will do my best, Tim, to sing it for everybody.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Feel free to fast forward if you would like.
Yeah. Screen record on.
Hold on, let me warm up the vocal cords here.
Hey, Momo. Gee, I hope we don't lose the Wi-Fi signal during this segment.
Hey, Lee, where'd you go with that rifle in your hand? Hey, Lee, why'd you shoot JFK with that rifle you had? I didn't shoot anyone today. You know, I'd sure like to get a lawyer some way. I'd also dig a shower and a phone call too, please. Hey, Lee.
Oh, there's more.
There's a couple stanzas.
Yes, of course.
There's a couple George Costanzas here.
All right.
Hey, Lee, why'd you kill JFK today? I want a lawyer. Hey, Lee, why'd you kill the officer? I'm just a patsy. Hey, Lee, why were you charged with killing Kennedy? I haven't been charged with shit. Hey, Lee, here comes the car, the armored car now. Hey, Lee, who is your lawyer, man? I ain't got one, fool. Hey, Lee, let's walk to that car over there. Why the fuck is he here? Bang! Hey, Lee, the president wants you to confess to the hit. That's all I got. Tim.
It's so whack and it's so lame that it's awesome.
Yeah, what he said.
Tim, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Best
Folks.
dumb thing ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please, for the love of Christ.
Hey, Lee, why didn't you bring your pistol when you planned to assassinate the president with you?
Hey, Lee, when you ate your fried chicken, did you eat the gristle? Hey, Lee.
All right. Do not write songs and send them in the email section so that I have to sing them. Please, folks.
You
do not
just
do that.
did.
Hey,
You just
here's the thing.
encouraged it.
They've already figured
No
it
more.
out. They figured
You
it
just
out.
encouraged it, bro.
Rob, they
God.
figured it out. Rob will literally read anything on the air.
Yeah,
Yeah, they figured it out.
we don't lie here. All right. Let's see if I can recover from this here. All right, we got
It's deeper in the sack.
an email from DW.
DW.
He says, or she
Whoa.
says,
Daryl Waltrip?
it could be.
Fuck, I
Could
love
very
Daryl
well
Waltrip,
be.
man.
Could be Donnell Witter. Who knows? Hi, guys. I know this won't work well on a podcast, but I felt I had to ask. Oh, please don't make me sing again. Here's a few pictures from that day in Dallas. The original and a close-up of something or someone on the roof. Is this a sign on the roof? Someone pointing a rifle or something else? My imagination may have got the better of me. All the best from Bonnie, Scotland. Chris O'Brien. So let me look at here at these pictures he sent me. And I will...
Oh, wait, I think I know that name from, the group, the JFK social media stuff, Chris O'Brien. Hey, Chris, thanks for the email, brother. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, I don't know where you get DW from Chris O'Brien,
He's
but okay.
a Daryl Waltrip fan, I told you.
All or Drunken Waltham.
Yeah. And hey, Chris, hey, if you're a Darrell Waltrip fan, you're like me, you think that was fucked up when Rusty spun him in the Winston in '89. Fucked up.
All right, boys. I just sent you in our messenger chat the pictures that he's talking about, so we can get everybody's opinion here. I have no context about where this picture was taken, but Clint Hill is riding, squatting down on the back of the limo, so this is definitely not Dealey Plaza. This is probably as they were making their way through Dallas. And he spotted a figure up on top of a roof, standing there. Now, to me, to my eyes, this could be anything. There's a lot of weird, like, supports and ladders and debris and shit on top of these buildings, but
are we talking? Okay, the guy, or there's two guys on the fire escape, and are we talking about the thing? Sort of looks like it's leaning over the roof there in the middle.
Yeah,
shoulders and a head. Man, I wish I could blow that up better on my phone. I really can't look at it. Okay, wait a minute. Let me see. Oh, what that is, man? That could be.
It almost looks like a camera of some sort. Doesn't look like a rifle.
Yeah, whatever it is pointed right at whoever's taking this picture. So
yeah.
It could be a camera. It could be a rifle. I mean,
that's interesting.
Could be a guy cupping his eyes from the sun to see better.
Could be a Secret Service.
Okay,
agent.
that is. I was able to blow it up a little more on my phone. Yeah. That is definitely a person up there.
Yeah.
That is most definitely an individual, a human being right there. But it's
like
hard
you said,
to tell
Doug,
what they're doing.
There's two dudes standing on the fire escape like 20 feet away from this guy. So,
and it looks like there is a lady one flight up on the fire escape, sort of turned and looking around as well.
I see that, yeah.
Yeah, and
she might be topless.
That might be two people. It looks like on the left, like
maybe a dude and his kid or something.
Well,
like he's holding his kid up over the edge to see.
You can almost see, or holding a baby, but you can almost see a shirt collar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's a lady with short hair. But hey, well spotted, homie, because that's definitely somebody.
Eyes.
Yeah, good eye.
Yeah, I mean, if you can tie it to November 22nd, 1963, that is very interesting. But
hey, Rob, can you add that that what you got there from Chris maybe to the thumbnail and shit for the quick hits on YouTube and shit?
Yeah,
do that, man. If you can add that in there, that'd be cool. People can look at it and see what we're talking about. Yeah,
will do.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, next up, we got an email from the ghost of Christmas past, Greg Kooyman.
Mr. Greg, what's up, buddy? Hey, he's been here, man. He's been in this very room I'm sitting in. Greg was in Nashville on business and came to see me one afternoon. Spent about an hour with me here at the studio. He got the tour. We hung out a little bit. He sat in my office. It was on the first floor. We sat in there and talked about Bill Harvey for a minute. So what's up, dude?
Still waiting on the first episode of your Cold War history podcast. 2 years later.
I think that went about like Joe's scooter ride, I think.
Crash and burn.
All right.
Crash Borelli.
Hey, guys. First, let me say it's been a while since I've spoken to either of you guys. So sorry for the dry spell in communication. What do you guys think about the Rob Reiner podcast? I quit listening when Tosh Plumlee's fabricated story was mentioned in their first episode. I was surprised that Rob Reiner didn't fact check that story. Have either of you listened to it? Well, Greg, funny that you mentioned we actually just talked about it on this show. So if you're listening this far into the podcast, you've already heard us talk about the Rob Reiner podcast. So, but yes, thanks for the heads up. And we got it, bud. We got it.
Way ahead of you, pumpkin.
We're on it. All right.
Jones Melons? Who is it next?
No, it's our friend from down under, the Thunder from down under, Anthony Thripp, our carpet salesman.
Oh, from Australia?
Yeah. Remember, folks, if you need any carpet in Australia, make sure you call Anthony at Quest Carpet.
That's right, because he's got you covered. See what I did there?
For all of your carpet needs. Someday, Anthony, we're going to sell you a couple fucking square feet of carpet, bud. One of these days.
Hey, why don't you sponsor us? Well, because people in Tennessee don't buy carpet from Melbourne. That's why. Sorry.
Yeah. We only know a couple people in Australia, and I don't think they can afford your carpet. All right, so Anthony's email says, "Hi, boys."
I'm thinking about that one guy.
That was a good one.
That one guy. Anthony, do you have an adhesive that will make carpets stick to a dirt floor shack? Because I think I may be able to line you some business up, brother.
Maybe some remnants. It doesn't even have to be a full-on fucking roll.
Patchwork. His feet are dirty,
Yes.
bless his heart. It's like every time he gets up, goes to the outhouse, he's got to step around scorpions and shit. Can you help the man out, buddy?
Camel spiders and shit.
Oh, man.
He says, "Hi, boys. It's your man from down under here. I will make this quick as I know how much you hate long emails." And it's a long fucking email. So thanks, Anthony.
That's actually just me, Anthony. That hates long emails.
The 60th anniversary has meant a rash of interviews, articles, podcasts, etc. Some good, some not so good. Hey, good point. One we've addressed here as well today. Some people are getting away with a lot of bullshit. Yes, they are, sir, and we're trying to point it out as we go. The thing is, they don't seem to get pulled up on it as people just accept it as gospel. And here's my quick hits.
Amen to that shit, brother. Amen.
And here we go. All right, we're about to piss a lot of people off here, so let's do it. I love you, Anthony. Let's do this shit. All right. John Barber. First on the list. If you want a good laugh, listen to this guy when he's a guest on Black Op Radio. I wasn't sure if it was him or Grandpa Simpson talking. He repeatedly spoke about himself and how good he is, how many hit TV shows he's had. I think even Leno Sanic was shocked by his rants. Next up, we have Joachim Van Wing, whoever the fuck that is. On Black Op, he was on the Mac Wallace story again, and Lynn didn't pull him up. He then brought up the Clint Murchison party and reeled off LBJ, H.L. Hunt, Nixon, and Hoover. Did they really think Hoover would be there as attendees this time? Lynn pulled him to say that may not be factually true.
Carpet man, I'm with you, brother, 100% on that shit, man. People just, man, it's like.
Next up, Joe's favorite podcast, America's Untold Stories. I don't mind this show for the storytelling, but there's no filter on the facts, and I think that Mark Gruber is quite disrespectful to Eric Hunley at times and can't stand anyone else being right.
Well, you know what? From what I saw that night at Lancer, both of them are running neck and neck in the disrespect department.
And the douchebag department.
They do not know, look, man, if you can't imbibe in alcohol and refrain from that, then you should not imbibe in alcohol. That's just it,
You're a grown-ass man who should know how to act in public. Pull your shit together, son.
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
I actually think it's not even the alcohol part. It's just like they're entertainers, right? They tell stories. They retell stories. They're not researchers, right? They retell shit that he read. Robert.
They're a high volume sprinkler head of factoids brought about by other people. Yeah, it's not research, no.
And my favorite is a short they made saying, with Robert saying, if JFK ever got out of Dealey Plaza, there were snipers set up at the LBJ Ranch the next day to take him out. He would have never got out of there alive. I'm like, interesting. What did you smoke to find?
Man, look, all I know is
that theory.
All I know is this, man. All I know is this. Like, the one, okay, Rob, do this. Look at the camera. Do this. Do like this. Do that. You see that? Rob actually has hair. Look at that. He has a hairline, right? Yes. And he's sober. He chooses to do that, right? He chooses to do that, not have any hair. He's got to mow the melon, baby. If Rob didn't mow the melon, I would have hair. If he didn't shear that egg, baby, he'd have hair, right? And he's perfectly sober when it's appropriate. Homeboy, the drunk guy, his head's like that because God did that to him, is what I'm saying. All right? But God didn't make him act like a drunk shitface and while Deb Conway's trying to pay tribute to her late sister back there with his buddies. Motherfucker, goddamn, give me another beer, bitch. Fuck.
I'm picturing the scene, Doug, from a movie from long ago called Return of the Jedi. And in Jabba's palace, when he's laid out on his couch platform thing, and you remember that little crazy looking Muppet with the crazy hair that was sucking on the hookah, was all high and just laughing inappropriately and making fun of people, and that just seems to be like the scene. There,
man, they was back there with some fanboys, being celebrities.
All right, let's plow through the rest of this damn email.
And you could tell them from a mile away based on their lanyards, their red lanyards.
Yeah. Me and Joe were eating delicious brisket and trying to listen to Bob fucking Groden. God damn it, but no. Anyway, I'm sorry. I mean, Mr. Robert Groden's what I meant to say. I got a little heated. Go ahead, Rob, please.
All right, next up on his list here is Rob Reiner. Shocking. Who Killed JFK is the Sesame Street version of a political podcast. True. And he says some praise he does heap out a little bit here. He says, I have enjoyed the podcast Out of the Blank by Robbie Robertson and JFK, The Enduring Secret that Jeff Crudell does, although it is a bit slow-paced, but that's okay. Well, Jeff's old. So it's okay.
Hey, everybody's flow flow's different. Everybody's format's different, and it's we're like you say, or like Rob said, we're decades younger than Jeff. We love you, Jeff.
We do. We love Jeff, former guest of this very show.
That's right.
And we love Robbie too.
Sponsored by Metamucil.
Yeah. Robbie, sponsored by Whey Protein. Robbie, if you listen to this show, stop posting shirtless pictures. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. We get it. You look like Tom Holland, okay? And you're in shape.
Who is Tom Holland?
Spider-Man.
I don't know.
I know. We're just jealous. You look great, Robbie. Keep up the good work, bud. That's what happens when you work in the gym, I guess. So then Anthony asked, what's your thoughts on the assassin Lucien Sartee? On one podcast, they said he was in Dallas at the time of the assassination. If that's true, it's quite amazing. Again, it was said without much fact behind it. Sorry, I know you hate long emails, but two more. If David Ferry was going to fly an assassin out of Dallas, why was he hanging around Houston? Is there an airport there? I'm sure there was. Was he going to fly to Dallas, or was he waiting for someone to be driven out to Houston, then flown out? I can't get my head around this one. Yeah, he was like the second leg of the escape trip.
Yeah, because if you're doing an op like that and you've got, say, well, if you got 3 snipers, you got 3 teams, you got to get out. You wouldn't want everybody showing up at the same place to get out, you know.
Right.
I've heard tell of a military transport plane that landed in a dry creek bed somewhere outside of Dallas somewhere. You know, you hear all those stories.
Yeah, and I'll be doing we'll be doing sometime in the future after we get done this Martin thing, a show that goes more into this, and it has some amazing freaking audio, and it's going to be insane. So I promise me and Joe will get into this in the future. Also, I believe the power went out in the TSBD around the time of the assassination. Who did that? Could Oswald have done both? I doubt it. Was it someone else involved in flicking the switch? Any thoughts?
I don't think Oswald did it, but if it did happen, then it would. It's certainly suspicious, you know.
Yeah, if
sure.
I had 2 guesses, it would be either Truly or Bill Shelley. But
now, how could you make that happen? You could either throw a main breaker in the building, or, you know, if you want to get a little more grandiose in your speculation, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Right. I think Truly would know how to, say, shut the power and or elevators off more than, say, Shelley. But
yeah, see, Truly's got an alibi. He was out front of the school book depository at the time of the shots, you know. So he himself couldn't have thrown the switch. When you're looking at people who were still inside the building, there's very few people. Well, he was supposedly up on the 5th floor, according to him. Yeah. But yeah, he would have known how to do it because he was like the guy that came and opened the building in the morning.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and inspected it for, you know, the boiler and made sure the AC and the heat and all that was working. And so he would have definitely known how to do it. Then you got Frazier, who ate his lunch in the basement. He probably would have had access to throw that switch as well. So who knows?
Then you have Acme Building Management, which you did an episode on, I believe, Rob.
Yeah.
And was very fascinating.
Yep. And you had Troy West and the other janitor, Eddie Piper, on the 1st floor. So who knows? Or it could have been somebody that didn't even work there. They could have done it from the outside of the building or around back or something. Who knows?
Or Powell.
Yeah. And then he says, thanks so much, guys. I feel like you are in the minority of podcasters on the case that supply informative information on a continual basis in an entertaining way. All the best. Awesome stuff, boys. Thanks, Anthony. So again, folks, if you need carpet from down under, hit up Quest Carpets for all your carpeting needs. And that is the end of the Sack Jack for today.
Well, I got one. I got one more for the sack, Rob.
I forgot about that.
Dude, this is sent in. Let me find it. It's on my phone. I got to go over here to this other message thread. This is sent in by a listener who asked.
Doug pulling out the sack.
That's right. Mine's more of a Ziploc bag. But
Rob, one of the really, really fucking small ones, like you get a piece of crack in.
Rob.
Yes.
We have a listener that lives in Dallas that goes to Dealey Plaza every single year. Okay?
I thought you were going to say every day.
No, every year on the 22nd. Now, he's one of us. He's not one from the wacky wing, right?
Right.
But he went down this year, and it was so crazy that he had to send me a list of crazy shit that happened in Dealey Plaza this year. Right?
Sweet.
Right. He tried to get to top 10, but he could only think of 6.
Top 6.
So he added some more that happened in past years, okay? Now, right. And he asked that we read them online or that I read it on air, and the listener's name is Douglas Horney.
I love it. That's a fucking great name.
Douglas Horny. I'm so glad I had that camera on over here to see Rob lose that vape hit. It was a spit take, but it was.
Yes. Oh shit!
All right, here are the craziest things Douglas Horny's ever seen in Dealey Plaza, and the first 6 are this year. Judith Baker handing out Welch's fruit snack gummies and telling people to eat them, and that it would pump up their vitamin C. She's walking around handing out Welch's fruit snack gummies to everybody.
They were dosed.
Hey, look.
Yeah, with cancer.
Never eat anything Judith Baker gives you. You will wake up 3 days later in a bathtub full of ice missing a kidney. Stop that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, number 2.
Parts of your body covered in yellow pus. Pray continue, Doug.
All right. As speakers started talking about the Israeli-Hamas conflict during the memorial for JFK. 3. James Files hanging out behind the grassy knoll fence telling people all kinds of nonsense, such as now he claims he was present during the killing of Che Guevara and says you can see half his face in a picture with Che's dead body.
Sure.
Yeah, Rob has a good story about Mr. Files.
Hey, speaking of Files, dude, we true story, Rob. I didn't tell you about this. I told some guys at Lancer, I think it was before Joe got there because it was before we went down to Dealey Plaza. I told Mike Swanson and O'Chelly and B. Pete the story you told about Files behind the fence offering to take selfies with people for $10.
Yeah.
So I told them, look, if we go down there, and this was before we left, I said, if he's there, here's what we're going to do. I'll give you my phone, and the rest of us will take turns running up to him while you snap a picture, and then we'll refuse to give him any money. Just over and over again. Like, ha, where's my $10? Fuck you, old man. But we didn't do that. He wasn't there.
I've seen pictures from this year, and he looks way different with a shaved bald head, let me tell you.
Hey, he's still a lying, crazy-ass old man. Fuck.
Yeah.
4.
I mean, what assassin or quote assassin hangs out and tries to sell shit and openly brags about his,
Well, I know another one that puts a conference on every year in Dallas.
Well, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, no assassin would ever do that. Be like, I'm the assassin. Take a selfie.
And another one who runs the JFK memorial thing every year.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
it's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah.
And your story about him is funny.
Hey, speaking of Files, this is number 4 on the list. Files' wife running around Dealey Plaza that day telling everybody that the fires in Hawaii were due to a government space laser.
You know, that one's actually possible. Though.
Yeah, don't get us started on that one.
Oh, no, man.
Don't get it.
Joe, don't make me turn my back on you, Joe.
Weapon.
Don't make me turn my back on you, Joe.
I'm joking.
Everything painted blue was precluded from the laser beam damage. That's why Oprah Winfrey and The Rock's house were painted blue. They weren't damaged at all.
They let Oprah and The Rock in on the conspiracy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me guess. It was built by some guy named Martin.
Well, actually, the guy who was very involved in the Vegas shooting, which was the biggest mass shooting in American history.
Joe, that's a different.
Was transferred there.
That's a different podcast, homie.
I know. I'm sorry. I can't help myself.
Judy singing and her friends singing "Oswald Was a Friend of Mine" at his grave, holding hands. That happened.
Yeah. Bizarro world.
Now he sent me a picture of the who he calls busty QAnon lady. There was this chick with obvious surgically augmented boobs, dressed like Uncle Sam.
Beverly Oliver.
No, this was
Babushka lady?
different chick. A mother who lived near Oswald's grave told a story to Judith that her son saw Oswald's spirit, and he told the kid, "I didn't do it."
Ooh.
Yeah. That's right. During the ceremony at Dealey Plaza one year, Judith was attempting in vain to get QAnon's attention because they were interrupting everything and pointing at the storm drain, chanting, "From there, from there, from there." He saw that. At the same event, QAnon people wore shirts and had signs promoting JFK Jr. as Trump's running mate. Oh, we talked about that, Rob. That was the year they all showed up down there and thought that JFK Jr. was going to climb out of the fucking storm drain or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. But anyway, want to thank Douglas Horney for that awesome email. Thank you, buddy. And we appreciate that. So, man.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Horney.
Thank you, Mr. Horney. Guys, that's about all we have for this episode. Mr. Joe Borelli, Joey Sidewalk, I want to thank you, sir, for coming on.
Well, I want to
the
thank
show,
you
brother.
because my journey into the Martins started with an email, actually from Italy, regarding James Herbert Martin, and it was last October 22.
Hey, Rob, he said he was in Florence, so he's not telling us he was in Florence, Alabama. Yeah.
No, I'm off the coast, but it's been an honor and a privilege because you both have been so significant to my journey, and I legit and from the bottom of my heart want to thank you both for both of your efforts over many, many years, and you inspired people like me. I'm a fucking nobody in terms of the JFK community, and now we're making moves, and it's because of you guys. So to people listening, do your
It can
research.
happen to you.
Yes, sir. You might
From
be
nobody to swinging dick, Joe Borelli.
Yes. Don't ride a scooter.
Don't stay off the damn scooters. I'm amen to that. All right. Hey,
Fucking
Momo, cue the music. There's the music. Rob, tell everybody where everybody can find all the things.
Oh, all the things. Well, you can listen to the audio stream of the Lone Gunman Podcast via any place you find podcasts, really. Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that jazz. You can find the video version that I do with my buddy Joe, now the co-host of the Lone Gunman Podcast, on YouTube. Just search up the Lone Gunman Podcast channel and make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell to get notified when we go live, which is how we're doing the show now. So
7 p.m. tomorrow.
Well, it might be too late to catch it, but we always try to let everybody know ahead of time when we're going to be going live. So it's always a good time. So check it out. Show up live and join the party.
On Locals, where we could talk about all these different things that we can't talk about here.
Joe, the
That's
outro
one.
music's only 2 minutes and 50 seconds long, buddy.
Okay. Well, I'll let you end it off. And again, thank you, Doug. Thank you, Bob. Rob.
God damn.
I know. Fucking.
And you can catch my podcast, The Dallas Section, presented by Wall Street Window, all over the place. Spreaker, Spotify, Amazon Prime, iHeartRadio, or just Google it, you'll find it. It's ongoing, in-depth, forward-moving and thinking, study, research, and analysis of the people, places, things, events, and ideas surrounding the conspiracy that assassinated President John F. Kennedy. Like this podcast, it's another fine podcast from Drop D Podcast Productions in the heart of Music Row, Music City, USA. So, for Rob Clark, for Momo Scaranucci, and for Joe Borelli, this is Doug Campbell reminding you to tune in again next time when Rob Clark will turn to Rob Reiner and say,
With all due respect, you got no fucking idea what it's like to be number one.
we are out.
True shit. Peace.
There we go.
Le croissant.